another live stream. We're going to be doing part 2 of the video game collection. I'm going to give it a little bit of time for people to start strolling in. Hopefully a few people do. Behind me, as you can see, is the rest of the video game collection. We're going to be looking at the disc-based stuff, so I reconfigured the room a little bit. Let's unplug this. The first thing we're going to take a look at, just because I forgot, is down there we have the N64 stuff, a few Famicom games, and then right here we have Super Nintendo and Game Boy and DS and all that. So we're going to show that. What's up, Jolly Good? Thanks for stopping in. We're going to be doing part 2 of the video game collection here. I'm just kind of giving an overview of what we're going to talk about today. But the brunt of the collection is in this very large, 8-foot tall, 6-foot wide, 6 inches deep shelf that I built. Hey, what's up, Perry Fan? Thank you for sticking with me. It's good to see you again. And yeah, so we're going to get started. We're going to start all the way up at the top. We've got a couple people in here. Most people will be catching this on the rebound. I'm sure we'll have some people coming in and out as it goes on. So let us get started. First thing I'll say is if you guys enjoy these live streams and want to see more live streams like them, which I plan to do, feel free to give this a thumbs up. It helps me with exposure and more people seeing the live streams. I also have super chats available if anybody wants to donate actual cash. That goes right into the channel. I would obviously greatly appreciate that. Don't expect anybody to do that, but any of it is appreciated. So that's going to do it for the preliminary stuff. Let me flip the camera, and we're going to get this shit popping, folks. All right, so there we are. We're going to start, actually. I had to, again, move some things around a bit. What we'll actually do is start with the games I'm playing currently. I'm playing Heart of Darkness. This is it's a crazy game, very difficult, a lot like Out of This World or Another World. It's by the same creator of that, so it's a cinematic platformer. This is kind of the progenitor of the genre that Uncharted and Uncharted would help define. I'm trying to think of a good equivalent. Yeah, it's very cinematic. Every action that you do is very calculated. The controls are intuitive and nuanced. It's a beautiful looking game, hand-drawn graphics, some like claymation style stuff. Great CGs for the time. Awesome, awesome game. It is very short, but you die a lot. Some people, I saw in the comments of the walkthrough, people were calling it the Dark Souls of the 90s. Kind of like that. It's more like a cinematic platformers from the 90s that were designed to be trial and error based and very difficult. Sleeping Dogs, I've said over the last couple of days that you guys have, or I have been watching nothing but Hong Kong movies over the last month or so, so I figured let's play a game, like a GTA-like game that takes place in Hong Kong. So that's what I've been doing. I've been playing this. This has a great story, great voice acting and everything. What's up, Brandon? Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. Hello again. And this game is awesome, especially if you're a fan of Hong Kong cinema. It's got John Woo written all over it. Story's good. Doesn't overstay its welcome. I'm getting to the end of this game, so enjoying that. And Onimusha, which is one of my favorite games of all time. I finally got a copy of the PS4 version, which gives you upgraded graphics and New Game Plus and things like that. Kind of tightens things up a little bit. It looks fantastic. I actually didn't expect it to look as good as it does in widescreen. It's very nostalgic, this game, to me. This was the first game I played on my PS2, and it absolutely blew me away. If you want to know what this game is like, it's like early Resident Evil games, 1 through 3, with a feudal Japan setting. Nobunaga comes back from the dead, raised by demons, and Samanosuke, played by Takeshi Kaneshiro, so you guys would know him from movies like Hero and other Hong Kong films, Fallen Angels, from Wong Kar-wai. But yeah, this is an awesome little update of a classic game that I don't think gets enough love, but is getting a sequel now, so that's cool. All right, we're going to do this quick. These are such a pain in the ass. So we got NBA Hang Time, the successor to NBA Jam. Zelda Majora's Mask, the non-lithographic, holographic one, but still, that's fine. I just want to play the game. 007, classic. Let's see. Glover, you play as a glove on a ball, and you smack the ball at your enemies to destroy them. It's very intuitive controls, very difficult controls. Goemon's Adventure, I still haven't played this one. I have a funny story about this one, too. One day I'll share it. Blast Course is a rare game. And unlike anything you'll ever play, you just play as a series of different, like, different, like, tow trucks and robotics and all these sorts of vehicles that have jobs that they perform. And you control those vehicles, and they're like little mini games. Some of them are brutally hard. This game gets very hard, but still have not played anything like it since it. Dr. Mario 64, can't go wrong with that. One of the later editions. Over the last few years, I added that. Cruisin' World, I loved the Cruisin' games when I was growing up. These are not in alphabetical order, because who cares? Mario Kart 64, the classic. Gauntlet Legends, I resurrected this from near death. This cartridge is beat up to hell, and it was super rusty and nasty, but I cleaned up the cartridges pretty nice. Or the pins, I should say. Diddy Kong Racing! Can't go wrong with Diddy Kong Racing! Oh, I'm Banjo! F-Zero X, one of the few and great F-Zero games that we have. Lucy, thank you for coming back. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the live stream. We've got, right now we're taking a look at the N64 games, obviously. Forsaken 64, a game that I was always fascinated by as a kid, but isn't a great game, I'll admit. Bomberman 64, years ago I got rid of my Bomberman Hero 2, which is worth like $400 now. I sold it for like $100. That one hurts a little. Beetle Adventure Racing, this one is really cool. I remember so many stages in this game had like secret areas that you could explore. Almost open world in a way. I mean, they were racetracks, but you can go off the beaten path and find like this cavern with a UFO in it. And that stuff was so ominous and mysterious to me back in the day. But you just race as different Beetle bugs, Volkswagen Beetle bugs, and the stages are the showcase here. They change each time you lap, and just very interesting game. Great racer. 007 World is not enough. Not as well known as 007 GoldenEye, because it was developed not by Rare. But this was a really, really good game, I would say. N64 was the last Nintendo console that they had. Yes, they did. Yeah, well, I guess aside from the Game Boy and DS stuff, right? But now the Switch has brought cartridges back. They're just tiny now. But World is Not Enough is a good one. Aiden Chronicles. I love this sharp-looking black cartridge here. I've never played this, actually. One of the few RPG games on the console. Armorines. This is a lot like Starship Troopers, and it appealed to me back in the late 90s because I had seen Starship Troopers when I was far too young with my pops, and it was a great movie. It takes on a whole new dimension as an adult. But Armorines was kind of a very satirical take on the Starship Troopers book, and following in spirit with the film. So, Paul Verhoeven's Starship Troopers, which we all know and love. I'm actually in the middle of reading the book right now by Heinlein. It's very different, very jingoistic, but very good. And if you read between the lines, it has a lot to say. Is that the first-person shooter? We always rented the PlayStation. Yes, the PlayStation version is out there. I'm not sure which one's supposed to be better. I grew up playing the N64 one, but if they're different games, I would like to play them. I don't go on the N64 that much, but the only game I've played the most was Star Fox 64. Yeah, it's funny, I actually haven't played Star Fox 64 since the 90s, so I need to sit down and actually play through that game, because the Super Nintendo one blew me away. So, Banjo-Tooie, I actually don't have Kazooie. I sold off my sealed copy of that years and years and years ago. Mario Golf. Mario Golf is a great golf game, not as good as Toadstool Tour, which is its successor on the GameCube, but I love Mario Golf. Another very mysterious kind of golf game with a lot of flair, a lot of character, arcadey, but also takes its simulation seriously. It's the perfect balance, in my opinion. Camelot did that game. Hexen. This is a fun... this was a PC game, so this is a port, and I gotta be honest, I remember trying this, and this is unplayable because you cannot configure your own controls, so it's really difficult to control. I've only played the GameCube game and GBA game. Yes. And both are great. All the golf games are great. I haven't played the new one, though. Bomberman Hero, some label damage there, but yeah, good game, but I hear the second one's even better. This, I believe, is my only import. This is actually called Irritating Stick. It's a weird Japanese arcade game. Look at all those, the title's super long in Japanese. I'm not even going to, let's see. Yeah, I'm not, watan, me, yeah, there's a lot going on here, and I can't read kanji. I could read hiragana, katakana, but I can't read the kanji, so I'm not even gonna. That says charunja. Anyway, this is like a weird game, kind of inspired by the board game Operation, where you have to navigate like a spark through this maze of electrified maze, essentially, and you can't touch the sides. Very simple, very annoying, and I hear that the N64 version is not ideal. So the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, obviously, I used to have the special edition cartridge, but I don't anymore. I'm okay with that. This is one of my favorite games of all time, and it's still a wonderful game. Conker's Bad Fur Day, I actually sat down and played through this on the original hardware pretty recently, a few months ago, and what a time this was. It did get frustrating at points because it's rather obtuse in certain areas where they don't hold your hand, you really don't know what to do, but you have to use your mind. You have to figure out these logic puzzles and sort of in an adventure style kind of way. This is a fun game, very adult. You know, you start off the game and Conker is drunk. The story behind this is that when Rare showed this off at one of the E3s back in the day, it got terrible reception. It was at that time, it was very cute, very cutesy, like disgustingly cute, and Nintendo didn't like it, and so Rare was like, okay, well, we're going to make it as raunchy and disgusting as humanly and controversial as possible, and they did so, and the game became a cult classic. Cruisin' USA, I played the hell out of this. I used to champion myself as being able to, I used to brag about being able to beat this game with one hand, one thumb, essentially. A thumb and a finger I used to beat that game with. Mario Party. Some of the best Mario Parties here. Mario Party 1 through 3. I love all of those games. Donkey Kong 64. Jet Force Gemini. I have great memories of that I shared with you guys in the first part. Mario Tennis. Paper Mario. Pokemon Puzzle League. This is like Tetris or Columns with a Pokemon battle kind of aesthetic. It's very neat. One of the most underrated games of all time, Pokemon Snap. I've never played anything like this since. No, the sequel does not hold up compared to this one, in my opinion. This one had such an allure. There were so many secrets that you could unlock and Pokemon you could discover by throwing your pester balls in places you wouldn't imagine. And actually, the last time my brother and I played this, we discovered a Pokemon in it that we had no idea was in it. And we've played this game for 30 years. It was very exciting. One of those great video memories. My brother and I, Thomas, bonded over that game when he first moved down to North Carolina, shortly after I did. Pokemon Stadium, another cartridge which I resurrected from death, cleaned up the pins with some Brasso and a toothbrush. We've got Quest 64, actually pretty much the only turn-based RPG on the console. Robotron 64, really good updated version of Robotron. Snowboard Kids 2! I love Snowboard Kids, a really unique racing game on the 64. Shadows of the Empire, classic. Star Fox 64, still need to play that one. You know, sit down and play it. Smash Brothers, my label's a little soiled with coffee or something like that, but still, good to have the game. That's all I care about. Tetris Sphere, a really interesting Tetris game that gives you a 3D perspective. Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, fun Turok game. I still love the first one. Rage Wars, that was, I think, the fourth one, if I'm not mistaken. I'm missing the third one. Wave Race 64, super cool game when it came out. Really showed off the capabilities of the 64, and the water physics were mind-blowing at the time. WCW NWO Revenge. Here we've got the run of great THQ wrestling games that were developed by a Japanese studio who was making wrestling games over in Japan for a long time. I think I'm not even going to attempt what they had something to do with. This is my favorite of all of them. This and WrestleMania 2000. I just love these games. Yoshi's Story, and that's my era of wrestling, by the way, the Attitude Era. The 90s plus the Attitude Era. Yoshi's Story, a really unique Yoshi game, side-scrolling, beautiful hand-drawn graphics, side-scroller. A little convoluted in the way that you advance in this game, but I still think a very solid game. All right, bear with me here. I'm going to put all these back where they belong. All right. Last, or we have a few more things here. We have the NES Game Genie. So the NES games go into that right there. This goes into your console, and you could put in some cheat codes. Very nostalgic. This was like magic back in the day. This was like sorcery, video game sorcery in the 90s. You know, nobody knew how it worked. Nobody knew how it worked. Nobody cared. They just liked to fuck around with their game, which obviously in the internet era, you have seen blossom into a subgenre all of itself, right? Glitches and speed runs. Here we have this game only came out on the Famicom, and it's a very cool side-scrolling Metroidvania game that we didn't get over here. Let's see if I could... I think it's Bike. Yeah, I forget. Bayo Yanshidan, something like that. Bio something. And this one is a very cool game. Like I said, I only collect Famicom games that never came out in the West. Actually, I've had Yoshi Story 64, 9 years. Yeah, the Wii Virtual Console Mini. Yeah, it's a great game. Very good memories playing that game. This is a really cool one, guys, for my movie fans. Akumajo Special Boku Dracula-kun. This is like Little Dracula, or this is a Castlevania game in a chibi style. That's what we'll say. Boku Dracula-kun means I am Dracula. Akumajo Special, I believe. Yeah, I believe Akumajo is Castlevania in Japanese or something, you know, close. And yeah, Konami game that never came out in the West because it was, I guess, deemed too Japanese. It's a really cool looking game, though. Definitely want to play it. There's a Splatterhouse game that's chibi style, too. Here's another game that never came out in the West, another Konami game. This is a King Kong game. It's a top-down, open-world style Zelda game where you go around beating the shit out of monsters as King Kong. This is King Kong 2, I guess. And this is based on, I want to say, the 70s version with, you know, what's his name? Damn, what the hell's his name? From True Grit. Jeff Bridges. Anyway, yeah, another cool one. And here's my copy of Rockman. Rockman is Mega Man. Rockman is Japanese. They changed the name to Mega Man for the West. So Rockman I always thought was kind of cool. It played on the creator's love for music. So if you have bass and all these other musical named Mega Man characters. So, and what I have here is actually, I got this out of an old NES game. And what this allows you to do, you got to break open the game, or not break open, but open the game, and you could take what's called a Famicom adapter out. In some of the old NES games, instead of localizing it and making it playable on NES consoles, they added this chip, this extra chip right here that basically translated the game to play in English. And if you take this out, you can use it to play imports on your regular NES consoles, which is what I do. So be very careful doing this. Look it up on YouTube, and you'll get some information on how to do it. So, all right, guys. Next up, one of my favorite consoles. I love both of these consoles very much. I don't think we need to go over the. Here's like an overview of the Haiti, Mike, or did you mean to say hey or Haiti? They're like the country. What's up, Byron? Here we have a couple Sega Saturns. There you go. I figured. I've got a couple Genesises. There's my Philips CDI that I got at a yard sale years ago because somebody thought it was a VHS. That was a great find. PS3, Xbox. We got the Atari Jag that I've had since 94, 93. Wii U, 64, Sega CD, TurboGrafx. And then we got Nintendo's, PlayStation, Dreamcast, Xbox One, all that good stuff. Thank you, Byron. You're awesome, too. Thanks for checking out the live stream. All right, so here we're going to start. Yeah, we'll start here. This is all my Dreamcast stuff and miscellaneous disc-based games that are in jewel cases. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the good vibes. I could use those. We could all use those, can't we? Here we've got Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, Blue Stinger, which is a game I missed back in the day. Reluctantly, and this one I picked up at Goodwill years ago for like $1. Perfect condition. I do want to play it. It was the Dreamcast response, Sega's response kind of to the Resident Evil craze at the time. Choo Choo Rocket, a really great puzzler that came out around the launch of Dreamcast, which came out in $9.99. One of my favorite, most nostalgic consoles Crazy Taxi. Get ready to make some crazy money with Crazy Taxi. This one is soiled. I've had it since I bought it back in the day. I love Crazy Taxi. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's got all this great, like, punk music from the time. What was the name of the band? Offspring. Crazy Taxi 2 is a better game. It has more modes, better open world to navigate, to pick people up, drop them off. Very simple game, but I love it. Death Crimson OX. That's a light gun game. A very cool light gun game. Very weird and Japanese light gun game. So cool. I have a small bookshelf of just mostly little bitty games, but it's so cool to see your collection and passion. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I am very passionate. That's all horror stuff here. I have an archive live stream I did yesterday. Remember playing the arcade version of Crazy Taxi as a kid? Yeah, me too, in the arcades. It was great. Awesome game. So intense. This is a really cool light gun shooter here. Horror themed. Very strange, very bizarre, very weird. Dynamite Cop. Oh man, we were still getting really great 3D beat 'em ups on the Dreamcast here, which started on the Saturn. This one is a lot like Die Hard Arcade on the Saturn, which I do have. I should be able to show you that one. This is a lot like a spiritual successor. It's an awesome game. Dreamcast was known at the time for doing arcade-like games at home, and we had used those terms since the Genesis, but it didn't really come into fruition until the Dreamcast. That's how we judged consoles back in the day. How good does it do arcade ports? You know, that's how we looked at games. Egg. This is a kind of Legend of Zelda top-down style action RPG where you get into these 3D battles, which is really unique. I've played a little bit of this, but I want to sit down and really get into this. I'd love the manual for this at some point. Did you like Legacy of Kain? Yes, I loved Legacy of Kain back in the day, but I admittedly never beat it. So I need to sit down and do so. Evolution. This is a great RPG. I think the Evolution series was pretty underrated. There weren't many turn-based RPGs on the Dreamcast, but I do like the ones it offered. Can any of you guys maybe read that? You've seen enough of the films, maybe. This says, Go-ji-da. And this says, here, let's see. Let me try to read it. Gojira. And that's Jaioru. Yeah, it's hard for me to do it on the spot here. Generations is what I was going for. You got Gen no narrations. Shonzu. That's a zu there. ZU is the last character. Anyway, Godzilla Generations. This is an import. This game never came out over here. I actually do not know much about this game. It's got a cute little chibi there. It's official Godzilla branded by Toho. Isn't that cool? For Japan only, but this will play on Dreamcast in America. It looks cool. Looks like destruction, and I'm not sure what kind of a game it is, but one day I'll pop it in and try to navigate the menus. But I had to get it once I learned there was a Gojira game on the Dreamcast that never came out here. House of the Dead, awesome light gun games in the style of 80s B-movies with bad voice acting and all that great stuff. Really cool game, used to freak me out as a kid, but I still love playing that with double light guns. I still have 2 Dreamcast light guns, and I love just doing akimbo playing some of these light gun shooters because I don't have any friends. Hydro Thunder. This game was awesome in the arcades, and when this came out on the Dreamcast, it was a big deal because it was almost exactly like the arcades, and it still holds up fantastically. The frame rate of these games is what was really ahead of its time, in my opinion. They just looked so clean and ran so smoothly. One of my favorite games on the Dreamcast, a game I played for countless hours back in the day. Loved the music, loved the hip-hop influence to this game. Very Japanese in style. In Japan, it's known as Jet Set Radio. In America, it's Jet Grind Radio. I guess they wanted to emphasize the skating aspect of it a bit more, so they changed it to Grind. And honestly, I like Jet Grind Radio. It kind of flows off the tongue well. Jet Set Radio does too, but I've always been fond of Jet Grind Radio as the title. This is a fun arcade style, kind of skate anywhere, tag places up to get points and to defeat the bad guys. It's awesome. The rival gang members. Speaking of Legacy of Kain, I have played the original Legacy of Kain Blood Omen, which I have beaten, the top-down Zelda-style game on the PlayStation 1. That was a brutal game to get through, but I loved it. And I believe this is the game that came out after Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. And they changed the style to 3D, almost Zelda-like dungeons, that kind of thing, combat, heavy, exploration, and all that. So this made the jump to 3D pretty successfully. There was also an Xbox version, yes, and they did change the name to Jet Set Radio Future for that game, which is a phenomenal sequel. Not many people talk about it, but it is a very good sequel. I love that one. Here we've got D2. This is a sequel to the game D, which I have for another console I'll show you in a minute. Played all of them and just still have to complete the last one. Nice, nice. Yeah, I need to step my game up and beat some more of these games. It's a forgotten franchise. It's awesome. D2 is a first-person horror game, from what I understand. Adventure/survival horror, which is different than the first one, which is more like an adventure game, point and click. This seems to be more like an adventure action kind of thing. It takes place in the snow, looks atmospheric, and spoilers, D stands for Dracula. Echo. I have one import here, and I just think the import games are so much more appealing in terms of the cases they use. The custom cases. Look at that. How fucking sharp that is. I just think that's so cool. And this game will play just fine. I think this is this is a PAL version, if I'm not mistaken. So a European version. Like I said, look at how cool these cases are. And the color, I mean, these are so much better than what we got here in America. So yeah. I just think this is so neat. But I actually haven't played Echo the Dolphin on the Dreamcast. I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's beautiful. Played the PS2 version a little bit as a kid. Nice. Very nice. Here we have Shenmue, which is a game that was very ambitious for the time. Blew my mind at the time, but I was admittedly overwhelmed and confused at how to navigate an open world because we didn't have any precedence to that at the time. But I do want to sit down and play through this as an adventure experience at some point. And yeah, this game has a sequel on the Xbox and also got a third version, finally, after a long time, by Yu Suzuki. And a lot of people weren't too thrilled with it, but I think Shenmue fans were content. Here we have the Game Boy player for the GameCube, which is basically used to play Game Boy Advance games on your television. So that's pretty amazing. And this disc goes for like $200 now. So there you go. Mine still works. Oh, I have to check the Dracula game out. Yeah, the Dracula game. Start with D. It's the first one. And look into the creator. He made some interesting games before that and around that time. Maken X is an awesome first-person sword game. I had never played anything quite like this when it came out. And still, there aren't many. Well, I guess there's a lot of games first-person games where you could use a sword now. But this was fast-paced, arcade-style levels where you had to chop up the bad guys as quickly as you can. And very unique arcade-style game. MDK2. Still haven't played MDK1, which is on the PS1. It is hard to find. There are ways to soft mod your console so that you could play those games. Look into that. I'm not an expert on it, but MDK2 I still have yet to play. NBA 2K1, and NFL 2K2, I have those because I played the hell out of them as a young kid with my buddies. NFL Blitz. Back in the day, the Dreamcast was the console to play sports games on. Because they added like an arcadey element to them, which was awesome. Speaking of arcadey goodness, NFL Blitz, this is like the NBA Jam of football. And I think it's an awesome game to play with friends. Prince of Persia, just all in the, Prince of Persia, that's a big series I haven't gotten into, really. Resident Evil Code Veronica, man, at the time, this was the coolest Resident Evil game that had come out. I still think it's one of the best. I'm hoping that we get Capcom to do a remake of that, a ground-up remake like they did with 2, 3, and 4. That would be nice. Shadow Man, a cool third-person action-adventure film with sort of like, if I remember correctly, sort of voodoo sort of lore. This is always reminded me of Tony Todd there, Candyman. Silver, another one of the action RPGs on the console. Very happy to have this in the collection. A game I really wanted to play as a kid. I just think The graphics are so appealing, like the pre-rendered graphics, and I think it's action-oriented combat. Looks so cool. Can't wait to play that. One of my absolute favorites growing up as a kid. Played the hell out of this game. Never beat it. It gets brutally hard. Artificially so, I would say, at a certain point. The GameCube fixes this game up quite a bit. Makes it even more accessible than it was. But this creates a wonderful world. I think this is the same team that did Phantasy Star. I've had this copy since forever. And, yeah, there you go. Since '01. Wow. Makes me feel old. And, yeah, I love this game. I think it's a wonderful game. This is a turn-based Japanese RPG with great characters, pirates in the sky, great simple battle mechanics and exploration. And the only gripe that I have with Skies of Arcadia is, unfortunately, the random battles were way too often, which plagued some RPGs of the time. It's just, you know, even at the time, it bugged me, though, and my friends, when we were all into the Japanese RPGs. Whoops. Sonic Adventure is kind of a Frankenstein copy. I'm not sure what happened to my disc. I probably lost it as a kid because it's one of the games I played the most. So I kind of pieced this together. But Sonic Adventure, not many video game experiences match when this came out on $99.99, and my father let me skip school to go pick up the Dreamcast with him because he was a gamer, so he was excited for it himself. And I remember sitting there on a beautiful sunny day, down, 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 down. The music, the atmosphere of this game, and the time that it represented. What a wonderful time. Yeah, Skies of Arcadia on the Legends on the GameCube is the way to play the game. That's for sure. This one I'm nostalgic for. I remember my father and I playing this at the time. This is like, a first-person RPG-ish kind of game where you wield swords and magic, and I don't remember it being great, but it is unique. And I love any of the games on the Dreamcast. They all have charm. This is the web browser disc, which was interesting for the time. You could surf the web on your Dreamcast, which I did. That was a big deal at the time. But I actually own this now because it doesn't say, but it has this really cool puzzle game made by Sega built into this disc. So there you go. I forget what it's called, but World Series Baseball 2K2. We have Zombie Revenge, another great beat 'em up on the console, Sega beat 'em up, again, along the lines of Die Hard Arcade and Dynamite Cop. But this one is horror-themed, very difficult, arcadey, 3D, beat 'em up, very fun, spooky, but very cool. Now I'll show you some of, let's see, I'm going to wait to show you the PS stuff. So at the first console that has online service, yes. Well, technically online play, yes. But there was something that Sega did before called the Sega Channel, which allowed you to get online in the mid-90s and download games and kind of stream them. This is the first example of that. But yeah, getting online with your friends, the Dreamcast was the first one to do it. They actually had this ridiculous control that was gigantic, and it was a keyboard controller. So it was literally a keyboard attached to a controller. It was nuts. So what I'm going to show you now are only three of the TurboGrafx games I have. This console has gotten absolutely bonkers to collect for. So I'm not made of money, and I can't spend $150 per game, which is about the running average for really good games worth playing on the TurboGrafx. All these are worth over $100. Bonk's Adventure, a great, pretty iconic platformer, I would say, for the TurboGrafx. Bonk was sort of their mascot at the time. So think Mario. Newtopia. Newtopia is the TurboGrafx Hudson's response to Zelda. This is a top-down action adventure, kind of like Zelda. Not quite as good, but still pretty interesting. Very worth playing. I like it quite a bit, personally. And Splatterhouse, super controversial game for the time. But NEC had the balls to put it out in unedited form. Sega would also do the same. I think they censored it a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. But Splatterhouse, this is the premier way, I think, to play this game. I've heard the, FM Towns Marty version is good, but this one is one of the premier ways to play it. And as a horror fan, I'm glad to have this in the collection. I got this when it was only $20 or $30. Now this game's very expensive, up over $100, easily. Here we got some disc-only Saturn games. Virtua Cop 2. I have very fond memories of playing both Virtua Cop 1 and 2 on the Saturn back in the day with the light gun, which I still have, my red light gun. Some of these are hard to get out. Virtua Fighter. This is in a jewel case version here. Probably came with a console or something like that. And Virtua Fighter was certainly one of the first games my dad and I played on the Saturn, and we were just kicking the shit out of each other with these 3D, very polygonal characters at the time, archaically polygonal. But very primitive, but hey, gotta start somewhere. I think that Saturn was the first 3D console. Yeah, and Virtua Fighter was really the first 3D fighter that pulled it off. I think that's Yu Suzuki. And actually, so that I don't have to go into the Final Fight box there, which is very fragile and paper and worth a lot, you know. Damn, you got a big-ass collection. Thank you. Yeah, about 2,050 games, but who's counting? Final Fight, and I actually got rid of a few hundred over the last year, so there you go. Final Fight CD, one of the best, or the best way to play the original Final Fight. It is absolutely incredible. PS1, I could be wrong. PS1, no, well, the Saturn came out slightly before the PS1. Both did 3D, and so they were competing with each other. The consoles that came out before it were kind of faking the 3D, so like the 3DO and things like that. Jaguar were using technology and technological tricks to get around the barricade into 3D. But I would say that Saturn and PlayStation actually had, you know, the consoles were made to develop 3D games, which in the West, we actually abused. In Japan, they were still working on 2D games, and some of the most beautiful 2D games came out in Japan on the PlayStation, and things like Silhouette and Mirage. My favorite game of all time, I'd have to think about it, but Symphony of the Night, Resident Evil, some of those games are some of my favorites of all time. You know, actually, I failed to talk about these here. I don't know how I skipped. Yeah, one of my favorite games of all time is definitely Skies of Arcadia. I mean, I have a lot of favorite games of all time. I love a lot of things. Soul Calibur, The Soul Still Burns. By the way, I need Sonic Adventure 2. I believe I have it on the GameCube. But Soul Calibur, a great 3D fighter, a game I love to death still to this day. Sword of the Berserk, this is based on the Berserk anime. What kind of collections do you have? Because scrolling through your channel shows games, Blu-ray, vinyl. So vinyl, I have very few of at this point. Most of my collection is movies and video games. That's the brunt of my collection. And I read, my book collection is just as big as others because I read every day. Reading is another hobby of mine, so a passion of mine. And I also write. So I have a lot of passions: video games, movies, art, books, you know. Guys, if you like the Berserk anime from the 90s, which I absolutely love and adore, the manga and the book and the anime, this is a great 3D beat 'em up where you play as Gatsu. Feel old too. Yeah, I'm 37 or 38. I forget. I was born in 88 though, so you could do the math if you want. I don't really care about the number. I feel like I'm 20. That's what is important, and I act like I'm young. That keeps me young. But this is a great open 3D 3D Berserk game where you just slash the shit. It's so violent for the time. You just slash the shit out of enemies with your giant sword. 99, baby. Oh, geez. I was an 88 baby. Somebody actually was like, "What, are you a 90s baby?" at my job. And I was like, I was actually born in the 80s. It's a nice compliment. Rainbow Six, I grew up playing the 64 one more, but I'm sure the Dreamcast one is better. I played the N64 and the PC version. Toy Commander, kind of like Toy Story. You play as all these different toys and you blow shit up, and you're playing in like playrooms and living rooms. Pretty ahead of its time, and a very cool kind of flight shooter, arcadey flight shooter. Sorry, guys. Trying to get this shit back in. Soul Fighter. Okay, we looked at the rest of those. So, next up, yeah, Final Fight 3D or CD. Oh my god, this is starting to fucking piss me off. All right, it's hard to do with one hand, folks. Do a video about writing. I would love to. I have a plans to do a bunch of different kinds of videos. I'm going to do some videos about the state of modern cinema, of art, of video games. I'm going to do a lot of different things. I'm going to see what works. Here's D. There you go. This is the original D, which is like a point-and-click adventure game that tells a story. I've yet to play it, but I really would like to. And this is actually on the 3DO, believe it or not. I have it on the 3DO, yes, which I hear is probably the best version. So there you go. I don't expect anybody to pick up a 3DO at any point and play that. Hey, here we have Columns. Koramus. That's the Japanese pronunciation. I don't think 3DO Game Company handles well. Yeah, they didn't do a great job. My sister is 88. There you go. Good year. Columns, Arcade Collection. I love this. Grew up playing Columns. This has 1, 2, 3, and Columns 97, which did not come out, I don't think, in the West. So, and I play these by putting this into Action Replay Plus into my Sega Saturn cartridge slot here, and it plays imports, so I don't have to have a Japanese Saturn, which is very helpful and makes things easier. Deca Athlete, this is a fun, arcadey Olympic game with a bunch of different mini games, kind of following suit in how these Olympic games usually were. I played this with my brothers recently, and we actually had a good time for about an hour, hour and a half, competing and trying to get best scores on some of the events. Fun game. Did not come out in the West, or did not come out in the US. And finally, Sega Rally Championship. I was going to get rid of this recently. Thank you, Byron. That's very kind. You guys are so sweet. I don't know what to say sometimes. But this is a great arcadey Sega racer, kind of like Daytona, USA. I'm going to take you on a ride. I remember these Sega tunes from back in the day. And this one's awesome. Yeah. Why get rid of... Exactly. I figured, you know what? I'm going to hold on to this. And I've got the nice Sega version there. It just, sometimes you need money and sometimes things look more appealing to sell than other times. So, but I held on to it. Grand Theft Auto. Was that song Marvel vs. Capcom? No, I was actually doing Daytona USA, I think. Or I'm going to take you on a ride. Yeah, something like that. It's one of those 90s dance tracks from one of those games. Here we have a really cool trilogy here, Grand Theft Auto 1, 2, and 3. These are made by a different team that makes the GTA games now. This was a British team, very talented, set the groundwork for the open world game in a lot of ways. And yeah, I still need to sit down and really play through those. As a fan of GTA 3 onward, I need to pay some homage to the original games. All right, guys, coming down here, I'm actually going to pull this out, so bear with me just a sec. All right. Sorry about that, guys. All right, I just want to say thank you to anybody who's in the chat room right now. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Feel free to give the video a thumbs up. That helps me more than most people realize. That's what YouTube kind of pays attention to in terms of live streams. If it gets a lot of thumbs up, they'll help get your live stream exposure, which obviously would be great to appeal to more people and talk about video games with even more people, and movies, of course. We're going to start with the PlayStation collection here, which I have a lot of, over 100 games. One of my favorite consoles. I still think one of the most unique consoles. Whatever you want, man. That's great to make videos. Thank you, Byron. I really appreciate that. I'm going to do my best to make good content moving forward. PS1, my very first favorite console when I was 3 years old. Yep, absolutely. I was a little older when it came out. I remember being like 7 years old. My father and I, we actually sold a lot of our Super Nintendo games to fund getting Tobal #1, Battle Arena Toshinden, and the PS1. It popped up on my front page, and this is the first time seeing your channel. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Turksy. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, I appreciate it. I'm glad new people are coming into the channel. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about, so I plan to do that moving forward. I've got some cool videos planned. But I also love doing these live streams because I'm an unscripted kind of guy. I don't need to script things. I could talk all day, as you could tell. 40 Winks, this is kind of a Mario 64-like 3D platformer that I've yet to play. I've heard mixed things about it. 40 Winks, this is a Mario... No, I'm just kidding. We have Ace Combat. These are awesome anime-inspired, Macross Plus-inspired, Top Gun-inspired Japanese flight combat games. Can't go wrong with those. Those are always a good time to play in little spurts. Alien Resurrection, this is one of the hardest games to find that I have in my collection on the PS1. I believe this is up over $100 now. First-person shooter, I'm pretty sure exclusive to the PS1. Awesome, ambitious game, great graphics on the PS1. Brutally difficult, sadly. I need to sit down and give it another shot. Ape Escape, this was a big deal at the time because it actually was basically the game that they released the DualShock for. It was a big push by Sony to introduce their DualShock controller, which changed gaming forever, that's for sure. And Ape Escape used both analogs in a really unique and innovative way, inventive, in fact. And this is still a fun little action platformer with puzzle elements. A forgotten franchise, Ape Escape, but one that Sony put a lot of time and effort to back in the day. Apocalypse, starring Bruce the Willis. Yes, Bruce the Willis is in this game. He lends his voice and his likeness, and it's a fun, run-and-gun action game. Kind of like a 3D Contra in ways. I still need to sit down and beat it. It's a crazy fun game. Area 51. This cover used to freak me out as a kid back in the early 90s or mid-90s. 95, we got this game. This was one of the first games we got on the console, and it is a light gun shooter that we never played with a light gun. I grew up playing this in the arcades. Still enjoy this in the arcades from time to time when I see it. It's a fun game. My sister and I actually bond over this one. It's a cool little light gun shooter, and kind of Resident Evil-like in style, or sort of George A. Romero, Dawn of the Dead in style. Very cool. Black Dawn, a game I didn't like much as a kid, but my dad loved, a 3D sort of helicopter flight combat game. Very, very cool 3D environments for the time. It was ahead of its time. Here we have Blaster Master. Blasting Again. What a sequel title. This was, third, fourth, fifth Blaster Master game? I want to say maybe fourth game in the series. I know there was a sequel on the Genesis and a Game Boy game. But this one I haven't played. I've heard mediocre things about it. It looks cool to me, and I'm a fan of the original Blaster Master. It's a fun game. So, with great music. Alone in the Dark. Here we have some of I have all my double disc ones here, or large case ones, which I'll show you. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. I still would like this on the Dreamcast. I think one day I'll probably sell this off and get the Dreamcast version. I need to do some research into which version is supposed to be superior. But, yeah, this was a great game back in the day. This was a lot like Resident Evil 2, had its own sort of atmosphere, and ironically, Alone in the Dark started the survival horror genre in a lot of ways, the 3D survival horror genre. I always say that Resident Evil is kind of a mix of Capcom's Sweet Home and the original Alone in the Dark, which I grew up playing on the PC, which was very, very, so enigmatic at the time, and creepy, kind of uncanny, exploring this haunted house, and with very abstruse controls, and but they rebranded after Resident Evil set the standard for the industry in survival horror, and Alone in the Dark had a few good games back in the day, in my opinion. Very cool game, another one that's very hard to find on the console. Crystal Dynamics put this out. A 2D, overhead, beautifully hand-drawn game with great voice acting, great CG. This was a huge game at the time. It's a beautiful game. Very difficult. I played through this last year and actually and absolutely enjoyed it for what it was. It's a little hard to get into because the controls and some of the old-school idiosyncrasies of this game can frustrate you, and it did. But overall, this game really surprised me with its appealing graphics and its great story, fun combat, exploration was cool. Breath of Fire 3 I've yet to play. I played the first two. I love those. Bushido Blade, my brother and I still play once in a while. These are one-on-one samurai games where one strike could kill your opponent. Makes it very tense. C12 Final Resistance, another run-and-gun, Contra-like 3D actioner. Haven't really played that one, admittedly. Here's one of my favorite games of all time. So you played mostly mature PS1 games, but I was Crash Bandicoot guy. Yeah, so the truth is that the more kiddie games, my mother and I would play. So I played Crash with my mom because that appealed to her. And then my father and I played the more adult games, which my mother hated, of course, but my father, I guess, got the final say in that. And we played some of the more violent games, yes, which you'll see coming up. There's some really cool ones. But this one, I love this game. One of my favorite games of all time. Top 10, I would say. I play it once a year around October time. And I always learn something new about this game. It's phenomenal. Casper the Friendly Ghost. Always wanted to play this since I was a kid. That's why it's in the collection. I never have actually sat down and played it. But it always reminded me of Zelda. So I don't know if it has anything to do with Zelda. It looks like it has some top-down puzzle-solving stuff. But I do want to play this at some point and judge it. Codename Tenka, one of the cool... I love first-person shooters from this era on the console. These were console exclusives as far as I know. I don't think this one made it to the PC. Maybe it did. But this is a really cool-looking first-person shooter there. Let's see. Hold on one sec, guys. I'm going to try to charge my phone since I'm within range here. All right, let's see. We should have enough battery to get through the rest of the games, but Countdown Vampires, one of the more recent additions to my collection, and no, I did not spend that. I trade. That's what I do. And, yeah, this is a survival horror game by, I believe, Namco. Bandai. Yeah, Bandai, not Namco at the time, which is supposed to be okay, but I'm a survival horror junkie, and I want them all. Chrono Cross, one of my favorite turn-based RPGs of all time. All time. I might even prefer this over Chrono Trigger. I think both are neck and neck, in my opinion. I love both of these games. Spooky Gothic movies and games. Yeah. Well, Castlevania is definitely the one for you to check out. I love it. Very gothic. Crash Bandicoot, I have the greatest hits version. I wish I had the OG. Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3, probably my most played PlayStation games from the 90s. I played these so damn much and tried to unlock everything in each stage and find the alternate routes and all the secret gems and yada yada. Crash Bash is a Mario Party-like Crash game, which is still a lot of fun, still holds up. Better than most Mario Party games, for that matter. CTR, Crash Team Racing. This game still has an audience. There was an updated version of this. Very nuanced and unique sort of kart racer. Great games, in my opinion. Yes, they are great games, the Crash games. Even some of the ones on the PS2, even though Naughty Dog did not develop them, are pretty good. These are good because Naughty Dog is fantastic, right? They would go on to do Uncharted and Last of Us, all these great classic games now. And also, a fun tip about these to tie it to cinema or TV. Mark Mothersbaugh, from the band Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo, did the soundtrack for Crash Bandicoot. So there's a reason why it's so iconic, because they got very iconic musician from an iconic band, Devo, which did Whip It Good. Everybody knows that song. But they also did boom, 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 Crash Bandicoot music, which is super fun. Croc, one of the early examples of a 3D platformer. I liked it as a kid. I'm not sure how it holds up. This actually got a sequel back in the day, so it was good enough. Also composed those trash games. Okay, am I getting it screwed up? Didn't Mark Mothersbaugh have something to do with the Crash music? Could be wrong. Somebody correct me if you can. Command & Conquer Red Alert. This was a PlayStation version of a great classic RTS on the PC. RTS stands for Real-Time Strategy. My kind of PC games back in the day, I played Command & Conquer and Age of Empires and Battleground, Star Wars, all the time. Loved those games. Oh, okay, so Mark Mothersbaugh and Mansell, gotcha. Die Hard Trilogy Arcade. I was a huge fan of the movies, obviously, as a kid. Still am. My father and I used to play this all the time, passing the controller back and forth, trying to make our way up the Nakatomi Plaza in the first version. So this game has 3 games in one, basically. You have an action game where you got to work your way through the terrorists and get to the top of the building to save the hostages. Die Hard 2, which is actually kind of a light gun shooter that doesn't let you use the light gun. And Die Hard with a Vengeance is kind of like a Crazy Taxi style, drive around the city, disarm the bombs kind of game. My favorite is definitely the first one. And this actually has a sequel called Die Hard Trilogy 2, Viva Las Vegas, which I've yet to play. I would love to, though. Dino Crisis. This is Resident Evil with dinosaurs. Die Hard Trilogy and Apocalypse with Bruce Willis. Hell yeah, you gotta have those as a film fan, right? Bruce Willis did not, ironically, do the voice in Die Hard Trilogy. Some other guy, and some of the lines that stick with me are, "You want to stay with me? Stay alive." What else? You just go, "Shit!" Like some guy impersonating impersonating the great Bruce Willis. Anyway, Dino Crisis is Resident Evil with dinosaurs. This game is just about as hard to complete without a guide as the original Resident Evil. Those games are very obtuse at points and very difficult to understand where to go next or what to do. You can get very easily confused if you're not taking notes and mapping things out in your head, but still an awesome, epic, cinematic game. And the sequel, first PS2 game ever, Crash Bash, huh? There you go. That's awesome. Dino Crisis 2, I don't have the manual for, but I got as Blockbuster was going out of business at some point. Price was asterisk, apparently. This one I hear is even better than the first one and a little bit more accessible. So I need to sit down and finally play this. But, I'm stubborn. I want to beat this one first. And I tried last summer, and it just did not go very well. I got about halfway through, and then I quit. What can I say? You guys want to play a beautiful 2D platformer based on a Disney movie, a classic Disney movie, Hercules. Look at how gorgeous the 2D hand-drawn graphics are. It does like a pseudo 3D thing, 2.5D. All different sorts of stages, very varied in their levels. Great music, great voice acting, just great animation. I think this game is beautiful. Disruptor. Okay. Insomniac, I believe, Insomniac Games, they would go on to do Infamous, the Infamous trilogy of games on the PlayStation exclusives. This was also a PlayStation exclusives and one of their earliest games, if not their earliest. This is a PS1 exclusive first-person shooter that always reminded me of Langoliers for some reason, these guys here. Very, very atmospheric. It's got a very... portentous atmosphere. It uses fog in a very interesting design way, which limits your visibility, but also ups the frame rate and makes this game play silky smooth and adds to the atmosphere. So they did Spyro too. Very good. A series of games I've never played, but I do have in the collection. So if you want to see where Insomniac gets its start, they do it in a very cool, exclusive PS1 first-person shooter, which is awesome. I have beaten it. It is great. Driver is another great... this game was mind-blowing for the time because you could drive around an open-world city. Driver 2 was even more interesting. These were progenitors to the GTA series. GTA 3 would do a lot of things similar to Driver, what Driver was doing in the late 90s and early 2000s. So... I don't think you could get out of your car in this one. I think in the second one you could. But it was still really cool to drive around doing missions, Very neat game. Duke Nukem Time to Kill. I want to say one of these was exclusive to the PlayStation. I'm not exactly sure which one. But to be honest, I haven't played either of these. And I don't remember the stories, if they're sequels or what. Had that game as a kid, and I think I've played it too. Driver. Yeah, Driver is a memorable game, isn't it? Very cool and ahead of its time. Gave you a sandbox to play in. Dracula, The Last Sanctuary. This is a PC port. This is a point-and-click adventure, puzzle-y, kind of Myst-like game, if you guys know that one. And early CG, tells a story, atmospheric. I need to get into this one a little bit more, admittedly. And we have a weird one-disc game that's in a dual case for some reason. This is Academy Video. This is where I grew up, Stamford, Connecticut. We ended up with this for some reason. Where's the game? The game's real beat up, but I've had it forever. It's a Contra game. It's not the best. They tried to bring the series into 3D with middling results, we'll say. All right, next step. Let me check the comments. Let me check in, see how people are doing. See if I missed anything here. Oh, I'm doing pretty well. Okay. Hope everybody's doing all right. Feel free to hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying the live stream. Fighting Force. This was an early example of a PS1 beat-em-up, 3D beat-em-up. I believe I've heard stories that this was supposed to be Streets of Rage, actually, on the Dreamcast, and then it turned into Fighting Force, which was a good enough beat-em-up in its own right for the time, but we didn't know how good we had it with 2D beat-em-ups. 3D beat-em-ups never really became a prominent thing, even till today. I'd say 2D beat-em-ups are more popular. It's more conducive to a fun game in 2D. This is a really neat Doom game here. This is Final Doom. This is a compilation of all the different Doom mods and extra Doom levels that were made by Carmack and Romero. They actually developed a lot of these levels. And does the game run miraculously on the PS1? No, it actually runs like garbage, frankly. But this is the only way to play some of these maps on the console. And as a big Doom fan, I'm happy to have it in the collection. Frogger, PS1, this was a reboot of the Frogger game that kind of expanded on the original ideas. Very fun game, but one of the best-selling games on the console, actually. Yeah, Fighting Force is awesome. Fighting Force 2 is very awesome, too. My dad and I used to play the hell out of it. This is one of the more recent ones I picked up at a flea market for a couple bucks. I thought it looked really neat in terms of like a shoot-'em-up, a shooter. And, you know, it's connected to a classic series, Galaga. So I said, you know, give it a shot for $2. Frogger. Oh, yeah, everybody had that Frogger back in the day. Gex Enter the Gecko. This is Gex 2. And it brought the Gex series into 3D and had a bunch of film references and, like, to Indiana Jones and a lot of cool stuff. It was very memorable for the time. Jumping Flash 2. Here, I'll show you Jumping Flash 1 later. Very nostalgic games for me. Used 3D in such a unique way. These are essentially 3D platformers, way ahead of its time. Gex is good. Oh, yeah. The Lost World, Jurassic Park with a lenticular cover there. Cool 2D, 3D, 2.5D, you know, side-scrolling action game. Not as good as the Genesis one, but still good. Machine Hunter. I've yet to play this, but it looks kind of fun. It looks like two-player action, top-down game. Martian Gothic. Want to talk about obscure survival horror games? Here you go. Martian Gothic was a PC game, I believe, but also got a port to the PS1. Deals with, like, ancient Mars technology and all that kind of stuff. I hear it's not a great survival horror game, but hey, it's an early one, and I want to give it a shot. Looks atmospheric enough. MDK. I always thought that character was rather iconic. Reminded me of Triangle Head Man from Silent Hill. These games are very fun, tongue-in-cheek, but I haven't gotten around to playing them. Here we have... These two games made the military first-person shooter absolutely popular, and now Call of Duty, which is created in tandem with the U.S. government and the military, which makes it literal propaganda. I think the last 6 or 7 Call of Duty games were made with the state and intelligence agencies, and I'm not a big fan of any of that. I believe in creative freedom, not state-sponsored creativity, which propagandizes young people. That's a hot take, and there it is. Anyway, Medal of Honor, this was a more innocent time, where we made these narrative-driven, non-multiplayer, World War II games, which told a story, and got to kill Nazis, and all the good stuff. But this was the sequel. Kind of iconic, big deal at the time, because you played as a female agent. Thought it was pretty cool. Mega Man X5, or X4, X5, X6. Some of these are supposed to be good, some of them, but I'm a Mega Man fan, I gotta try them all for myself. Haven't gotten around to them yet, admittedly. This one's really unique for my movie fans there. Men in Black, the series, based on the animated series, Crashdown. This is cool because it's a first-person shooter, exclusive to the PS1, based on a franchise that I love. So there you go. Very cool. I can't wait to sit down and play that. I love games like that. Nightmare Creatures, a kind of Resident Evil X-esque, very gothic, very Lovecraftian horror that takes place in Victorian London. Very difficult, very complicated at points, but fun. No more, what is it? No One Can Stop Mr. Domino. This is like a puzzle game. Wacky Japanese puzzler that I don't know much about. Nuclear Strike. These are from the same series as Jungle Strike and all those types of games. And this is the PS1 version here. Nuclear Strike, 3D graphics, looks great, played great back in the day. Kitty's coming on in. We've got another action game, a 3D action game that I haven't played at all, frankly. Omega Boost! The song, the band Eiffel 65 that did I'm Blue, da-ba-dee-da-ba-da, had a video or a song back in the day on their album, because I bought it as like a 10-year-old, yeah. They had a song where they just praised PlayStation games. It was very strange, and one of the games they praised was Omega Boost! I finally got to play this last year, finally, and it is one of the best space shooters I have ever played. Usually those are hit or miss for me. Omega Boost is incredible. It's such a fast-paced, fun game, and I did beat it. It was a challenge, but I did beat it. We've got Fear Effect 2, Fear Effect 1. These were a big deal at the time because they featured, if I'm not mistaken, two main characters who were lesbians, I think. Maybe making that up. But very much in the style of, like, it had a very sleek Matrix kind of feel to it, mixed with Bound, a couple of the Wachowski films from the 90s. And I got to be honest, I tried Fear Effect 1 recently, and the controls were very, we'll say, unique. And I could not get down with what it wanted me to do. One day I'll give it another shot, though. Pac-Man World. We've got Pandemonium, a great 2.5D platformer. If you like Crash, you'll love Pandemonium. Very difficult, brutally difficult, but it is a fun game. It is rewarding, but it demands a lot from you. Pajama Sam. I used to play these humongous games, very nostalgic for them as a child, and this actually got ported to the PS1, and I had to get it back in the day. I've had this since I was a boy, and these games were fun point-and-click adventure games that, you know, were a good introduction into the genre. And they didn't treat kids like idiots. They really, you know, allowed kids to use their creativity and their minds to solve puzzles, taught kids some good things about the world, like how to eat and all that stuff, which we don't do anymore. Hey, kitty. Kitty, motherfucker, kitty. People like you, kitty. They really like you. I'm going to go away now. There he is. We've got PO'd, one of the weirdest first-person shooters ever. This is also on the 3DO, I believe. This also comes in a long box. There he goes, screwing up my carpet. PO'd is a tongue-in-cheek kind of satire parody of Doom, where enemies that are just asses run after you, and you smack them around with pans and, like, pissing. Like, there's enemies that piss on you. It's fucking weird. But so were the 90s. It's awesome. I wish I had the long box, though. That's the one I had back in the day. Project Overkill, one of the more violent games at the time. Isometric hand-drawn graphics, beautiful-looking game. Fun, addictive, but really it was novel for the time because of its brutal portrayal of violence, cartoonish violence. Quake 2, can't go wrong with the Quake games. I'm not sure how Quake 2 runs on the PS1. But I want every first-person shooter on the PS1 that I can get my hands on. A beautiful hand-drawn watercolor platformer called Rayman, which is where Rayman gets his start, where Ubisoft really, you know, kicks off into the big time, and now they're at the point where they're dying and spiraling, which is wonderful to see because they're disconnected from their audience at this point, and their games are way too overbloated, and there's way too much money spent on them. But this comes from a humbler time. Beautiful game, very, very punishingly difficult, unfortunately. Never beat it. Resident Evil Director's Cut. I still need the long box OG version of this game because this is one of my favorite series of all time. The Director's Cut does make this game a bit more playable, a bit more accessible, which, you know, to the chagrin of some people. But that is the one I own right now. It is what it is. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. This is a Academy video copy here I've had since back in the day. My friend Dom and I used to play this all the time. He was a master of this game. He can get through it so quick. Jimmy, what up, man? What up, man? Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. We've got Rugrats, Search for Reptar. I am Reptar. Halt, I am Reptar. I remember skipping school one day. This one's also from Academy video. Can't get rid of it. Nostalgia. I remember skipping school one day, watching Jerry Springer in the morning, and then playing Rugrats. That was the 90s when you skipped school. And then playing Rugrats, which we had rented, which explains why I wanted to stay home. This was a fun game at the time. You could explore the Rugrats house, which was a big deal to me, in 3D. Play as the different Rugrats. You could play mini golf. You could do like a kaiju kind of thing as Reptar. And I don't know. It was a cool game. Here we have the classic Metal Gear Solid, my favorite Metal Gear game of all time. In my brother's home. I'm going to close the door off. All right. And we've got what did Metal Gear Solid? Yeah, that's my favorite of the series. I just think it's perfectly made, perfectly old school and modern in various amounts. Covert Ops Nuclear Dawn. This is a Resident Evil ripoff that not many people know about because it's not survival horror. It's more like survival action. It's like this action movie kind of thing where you're on a train. I don't know much about it, but it looks awesome. And it plays like early Resident Evil games. So, all right, we've got a little bit more for the PlayStation, and then we're gonna try to tackle the wall. Actually, we might do Super Nintendo. I might save the wall for another live stream. Because you know me, I thought this was going to be a couple parts, but it's going to be more than a couple parts. It's okay. I'm enjoying myself. You guys enjoying this? I hope so. Thank you all for stopping in. Shadow Master. Shadow Master is a Descent-style first-person shooter, flight shooter almost, kind of in the middle of a first-person shooter and a Descent type of game. I don't know what to call those. Lateral shooters or something? Silhouette Mirage. This is an example of a 2D game being done incredibly well by Treasure and being ported over to the U.S. by working, or, brought over to the U.S. by Working Designs, which is what they did. They brought games over to the West that other companies wouldn't touch. But look at how gorgeous the 2D hand-drawn animation is. Same company that did Dynamite Headdy, Gunstar Heroes, McDonald's Treasureland, Last Light Crusader, Mischief Makers. I still need to play this. I'm savoring it. It'll be fun when I get around to it. Next, we've got a game I have played through. Very difficult, but fun. Nightmare Creatures. Oh, yeah. I still need to play the second one, to be honest. Spider the video game. This is such a cool 2.5D platformer where you play as a robotic spider and you have all these different powers, and cool platforming game where you can use the wall to navigate as well, like any surface to navigate, because after all, you're a spider. So it makes the navigation unique for this game. You do feel like a spider. You go into these little pipes, and I don't know, just really cool 2.5D platformer here. Not many people talk about Spider anymore, but I have beaten that game. It's brutal, but games I can't really talk about that somebody in the comments was right about. Spyro was made by Insomniac, who did Disruptor, and they also did Infamous. Here's the Spyro trilogy. One day I will sit down and complete these games, or at least give them a chance. Dark Forces, the first-person shooter, Doom ripoff Star Wars game that was ported to the PlayStation from the PC. I've played both. Back in the day, the PC version was superior. But again, I love first-person shooters from this era. Street Fighter Alpha 2 and 3, two of the only fighting games I think I have on the PlayStation. And honestly, these are the only two I need. These are great games. Parasite Eve, one of my favorite games of all time. This is one of the most atmospheric PS1 games I've ever played. Very unique combat. This kind of blends Resident Evil with other Squaresoft turn-based RPGs, where you get into turn-based combat that is also real-time, where you have a little grid, you run around, you choose your, you get your best vantage point, you attack in turn-based style, and you got to try to kill the enemies. Very unique, wonderful story, based on a book. This actually came out around the same time as a movie, and I believe this technically serves as a sequel to the movie and the book. It's phenomenal. Great story about mitochondria breaking free from our DNA, which is a separate entity that latched onto our DNA early in our ancestral history and has become the powerhouse of the cell, for lack of better terms. And this is a story, science fiction story, about the mitochondria being sentient for all this time and breaking free from the genetic code of humans and becoming its own separate creature. It's very, very cool, and the Japanese came up with a very neat idea there. Syndicate Wars. This is a very interesting game that is a sequel kind of to the Syndicate games on the Jaguar and the 3DO and the PC. Wow, look at that trippy artifact going on there with the blue. Eek. But this is a cool game. I need to sit down and play more of. Siphon Filter. This game was awesome back in the day. This was really an early example of a 3D action, kind of run and gun action game with a little bit of stealth to it, and a very influential game for the time. Without this, we don't have Splinter Cell and things like that, I think. But it was kind of like Metal Gear Solid, just with a little bit more action. I want to say Metal Gear came out a little before it. I guess we could technically find out. Yep, came out a year before it. Similar in vibe. It also has that Matrix kind of vibe to it, you know? Time Crisis, a light gun game, the light gun game that started it all, really, or at least personifies the genre, is emblematic of the genre, where you played this in the arcade and you had like a foot pedal to duck, and then you let go of the foot pedal to pop up and shoot the guys with your light guns. It was amazing. Tekken 1 through 3, some of my favorite fighting games on the console. These are 3D fighters. I used to play the hell out of Tekken 3 because each character had a story surrounding them, and the more you played with them, the more you beat. Yeah, the Metal Gear games are awesome, Yin Yang Bender. I agree with you. I've played 1 through 4 so far, and I'm looking forward to playing 5. And yeah, Tekken 3, you play through as each character, and you unlock more bits of their story, of their cutscenes, and that was a huge deal at the time. You also unlocked weird and quirky characters like the panda, which isn't on the back, but should be. Tenchu, Stealth Assassins, very difficult stealth games, kind of like Metal Gear Solid, but ninja, you know, feudal Japan style. Parasite Eve 2, a game I started after beating 1, but it just didn't match the atmosphere, and so I was like, you know what? I'm going to come back to this and give it a fair go, because it played just as well, and the story was just as interesting. But it was a different kind of, a little bit different in terms of its pace, so I want to buy some time between playing the first one and then go into it blind. But here we have Rainbow Six Rogue Spear, which was actually an expansion pack to the original Rainbow Six game on the PC and on the PlayStation, other consoles. Tomb Raider, one of the hardest games I have ever beaten. I sat down for probably 6-7 hours one day and I played through this. It was brutal, but it was so rewarding. So many cool secrets and treasure you could find, and that always throws some new animal at you to destroy with your pistols or your Uzis. Swimming around, doing puzzles. Such a unique controlling game that's based on a grid system design. And once you master that design, once you understand what the developers were trying to do, it really clicks. But you'll never play an action game like this. Try to give it a chance. Don't get frustrated with it. It's a very nuanced game, nuanced game for the time. Man, she was so hot back in the day. Everybody thought she was hot back in the day, and she was a cartoon character. She helped break that mold of acceptability. It's like, yeah, cartoon characters could be hot. We know they're not real. It's okay. In fact, there was a glitch or something, or a Game Shark, or a code, where you could, in one of these, I think 2 or 3, where you can enter the Lara Croft mansion, and you could get her to take off her clothes and be naked. As a young boy, that was something I tried to do all the time. I don't remember achieving it. I remember reading it in a magazine. You guys can confirm or deny. Last Revelation, I think that was the last Tomb Raider game. So Tomb Raider 4. Tomorrow Never Dies, a different kind of James Bond game. There's 2 different lines of James Bond games, the first-person shooters and the third-person shooters. They were developed by different people and, very different feeling games. But this was a good game in and of its own right, and as a big Bond fan in the 90s, I had to play this one, so Tomorrow Never Dies. Tomorrow Never Dies. Great game, great movie, well, a good movie, and a good theme song. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, this is where it all started. 1 and 2, I have 3 on the GameCube. I prefer these on the Dreamcast. When I pick them up on the Dreamcast eventually, I will get rid of my PlayStation ones. Twisted Metal, I have 1, 2, and 3. Yep, I have a disc and manual for 3. And 2, which was the one I played the most as a kid with all my friends. This one was amazing. So many secrets, great characters. Each character has their own story that goes with their character. Great levels. Again, secrets in such cool places. There was like areas where you can access by doing some crazy maneuvering with your vehicles. Car combat, blowing shit up. Very metal, very cool. We've got Vampire Hunter D. This is a survival horror / action slash 'em up, kind of like Devil May Cry meets Resident Evil. I really need to sit down and give this a chance, based on the classic anime, obviously, which I love and have talked about before. And yeah, I had to own that. Horror game based on an anime on the PS1, yes sir. Vigilante 8, car combat, Twisted Metal kind of ripoff, but one that has its own atmosphere and kind of carves out its own niche. Wild 9, brutally difficult 2D or 2.5D platformer with really unique controls. It's hard, though, guys. I mean, it's really hard. I don't think I gave it enough of a chance when I played it. It doesn't give you much leeway in terms of lives and continues. Wu-Tang Shaolin style, sort of the progenitor to games like Def Jam Fight for New York, which is super expensive now, and Def Jam Vendetta. 3D battle arena Power Stone-esque Wu-Tang fighting game where you have to input a code in the beginning to unlock the blood and the fatalities, which my brother and I didn't know when playing this for the first time. And we played the hell out of this. We beat the game, which was brutally hard. But once we learned the controls and how you actually operate the game, it became very fun. I'm obviously a huge Wu-Tang fan. So is my brother. This has all the different Wu-Tang guys. Each one has a different weapon that corresponds to their character. And is kind of an homage to the old martial arts films. RZA produces the score for this. It has exclusive music. If you put this CD into your CD player, it plays the tracks from the game, which is awesome. And we have Resident Evil 2, my favorite Resident Evil game. This one does not support the DualShock. I need to get that one. But I love this one, and I love the remake. Can't choose which one's better. I think they're both good in their own right. Both perfect. Rebel Assault 2, a game I've tried to replay recently. This is such a hard game. My God, it's so frustrating. But I do love it. Wu-Tang Wednesday. There you go. Wu-Tang. We got Tabal number 1. The first game I got on the PS1 along with Battle Arena Toshinden. This was a 3D Virtua Fighter-like style. Oh my God. A 3D Virtua Fighter-like game with very anime-inspired characters, which were actually designed and drawn by Akira Toriyama, who you guys would know from Dragon Ball Z. He did all the artwork for that. This was a big deal at the time because it had the most hyped game was Final Fantasy VII, and it had a sampler CD in here, which I actually don't have anymore. I'm not sure what happened to it. But, yeah, very cool first game for the console that I played. Squaresoft, same, they did Kingdom Hearts. Yes, they did do Kingdom Hearts. You got it. Wild Arms, a wonderful little 2D, top-down, hand-drawn, Breath of the Fire style, Western-influenced Japanese RPG. This is a really cool game with 3D battles that I haven't played quite enough of. I need to sit down and beat it when I have some time. Here we have Seaman. Yes, Seaman. I have the complete copy of Seaman here with the mic and everything. This was a weird game where you had a virtual pet, which were popping in the 90s. This weird fishman guy. Sorry, I'm a little bit different, Valley Girl. Yeah, very strange. You talk to him via the mic, and he tells you things about himself, about his life, philosophical takes as he gets older, and contemplates what he's doing in this fish tank. It's very weird, but very existential and strange. I do not have Def Jam Fight for New York, but I do have Vendetta. I'm not sure what happened to my copy of Fight for New York, but it is lost to time. The X-Files, I picked this up at Goodwill years ago for $2.99. This is a kind of a point-and-click adventure style game with X-Files. It's kind of like an episode of the X-Files that you can kind of interact with. It's pretty neat. Hard to get through, though. Xenogears here, which is a classic RPG. This is a very sought-after and valuable game. This series is still going on, still going strong with games like Xenosaga, or, Xenoblade. And I've got the complete copy here in pretty good shape. And I have played a bit of that, but never got too far into it. So up here, I'll show you Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. My favorite being 9, but I love 7. I've yet to play 8. The PS1 is the console for Japanese turn-based games. Jade Cocoon, game I still need to play. Siphon Filter 2, the best of the Siphon Filter games in my opinion. We have Star Ocean, the second story. This is the second Star Ocean game, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. And a game I played back in the day with my buddies, but still never sat down and played myself. Yeah, we're going to split this up into some more videos, guys, because This is taking longer than I expect. My latest edition, I traded one of my extra Wii's in, actually, to fund this from the game shop I work at, and I got a little discount. This game is going to blow me away. I know this is a beautiful-looking JRPG, 4 discs, epic, beautiful world that they built here. Legend of Dragoon is loved by many and still commands a low price, so price of admission, so it's like 40, 50 bucks for this game, 30 to 50 bucks, I'd say. Pick it up while you still can. That's going to be a game I play pretty soon. Grandia, this is another great Japanese RPG, which I need to sit down and actually complete. This one's getting up there in price. I believe this had a Saturn port too, and Grandia 2 came out on the Dreamcast, so there you go. And last but definitely not least, even better than Driver 1, Driver 2. This one really amped things up. You could get out of your car, run around, do foot missions, as well as driving missions, a complete open world. I mean, way ahead of its time. I know we take that for granted now, but let's see. All right, that's that, folks, and I'm going to show you these, just because they're over here. We've got some of my disc-only GameCube games in these really cool GameCube-branded holders. Animal Crossing, a series I'd like to try at some point, but never have. Shadow the Hedgehog, I got this for like $1 recently at Goodwill. Sought-after game now. Not supposed to be great, but one I would like to play. And we have Sonic Gems Collection. This one I have because it actually has a copy of Sonic CD, which I am yet to play or own on the Sega CD. And I hear is one of the best Sonic games ever, so just in case I want to play it before I find the Sega CD version, this is the one I'll play. And that's it. These hold 4 each. That's pretty cool. Oh, last but not least, I'm going to show you these here. Those are my disc-only games, and a couple disc-only games. For right now, I'm going to use the bathroom, guys, so bear with me about a minute or two. It's going to be a quick pee, and then we'll continue with the loose games, and we'll also do my Super Nintendo games and my Game Boy Advance and DS, and then we're going to call it for this live stream. Tomorrow, I might do movies. We'll see. Maybe my Blu-ray horror, or I might just continue my gaming. I'll probably switch it up and do movies. That way it's kind of one day on, one day off for video games, movies, video games, movies. And I'll handle that entire giant bookcase. I can't do that today. Too much. So, yeah. Hold tight. Feel free to hit that thumbs up, and I'll be right back. Oh. Hey, it's you. All right. Hello, everybody. Okay, let's see. Did I miss any comments? Anybody want to do a live stream on your music collection? I could do that. Yeah, why not? Do you have Parappa the Rapper? Unfortunately not. I had a chance to get it recently, but it was pretty beat up. I had it back in the day. I obviously loved it. I've been a hip-hop fan since then, since the 90s, so I thought it was awesome at the time. Kick, punch, it's all in the mind. Only point-and-click game I've played on the PS1 was Tiny Toons, Plucky, and the Beanstalk as a kid. I'll have to look out for that. unless you say it's not worth it. Sonic Gems based 3 games like Sega CD, Arcade, Saturn. That's right. So some harder Sonic games to play on that console. That 80s guide, do you have Parappa the Rapper? Yep. Unfortunately not. I'd love to own a copy. It's one of my most nostalgic games. I love Sonic. Oh yeah, who doesn't? Sonic is way past cool, isn't that right? How was the pisser? The pisser was good. I pissed efficiently, and I am refreshed and ready to go. Never played a Parappa game. You gotta play a Parappa game. They're awesome. It was also on the PSP, and there was a sequel, and I believe Parappa the Rapper 2 was on the PS2, and then there was a game called Unjammer Lammy, which you'll actually see, I think, in a second here. So we have Super Street Fighter Turbo, Puzzle Fighter, that's right, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. This is an awesome puzzle game, very competitive, very fast-paced, awesome game to play with some friends. Here we have an additional copy of Xenogears. I still have this because it was a resurfaced copy. I don't even know if it works anymore. But yeah, they were badly scratched. The copy I have in the case, the shelf there, is in good shape. But I keep this as a backup. It's not really worth anything because I can't guarantee it. I don't think they work, frankly. Here we have, let's see. Do this with one hand. I found this at a Goodwill recently. Disc only for $1. It's a, Mario Kart ripoff, but hey, it's a pretty fun one. Played it back in the day. PS1 a long time ago, and I had the game inside. I still have it. Guess where the game is. Is it Parappa the Rapper? I'd be so jealous. Here we have Terry Pratchett's Discworld, which actually, based on the book series by Terry Pratchett, and is a point-and-click adventure that retains the style of Terry Pratchett's novels, which are very fun, very cheeky British high fantasy. Very good stuff. Here we have Fade to Black, which is, this is a sequel to Flashback, the 2D kind of cinematic platformer. This is not a cinematic platformer. They change it to a 3D style, and it becomes very clunky and hard to play and does not hold up nearly as well as Flashback does, which still holds up to this day. We've got Manhunt on the PS2, such a controversial game for the time. It was the worst game ever. Scooby-Doo, it stinks, never get it. Thanks for the heads up. I'm not a big Scooby-Doo fan anyway, so I doubt I'd play the games, unless somebody told me they were excellent. I'm sorry to hear that. But hey, you win some, you lose some. We've got Manhunt, super controversial game for the time because of its brutal, visceral, realistic, quote-unquote, violence. This game got a sequel by Rockstar. Awesome game where you just stalk these dudes and these killers, and you fucking... you come up with these bizarre ways to torture and kill them. Very controversial, very cool game for the time, though. I remember this game, playing the hell out of this. I'm new. What do? You basically play games, stuff like that? Yeah, check out some of my older videos, but I have changed my style quite a bit. I used to do, unscripted, heavily edited movies on cinema. And this is a movie channel, but what I'm trying to do is bridge the gap between movies and games because I'm equally passionate about both of them. And I want to bring light to a lot of these things that I love. So my channel has mostly been cinema, but I am trying to branch out and also do video games because I'm equally passionate and knowledgeable about them, so might as well use that knowledge. That's what I say, at least. That's my thinking. It's a big part of my life, obviously, so are movies. But yeah, this is the game room here if you didn't get a good view of it. That's all disc-based games there. It's kind of in the way right now, the TV's in the way, but horror, NES, all that good stuff. So, Die Hard Arcade, one of the best 3D beat-em-ups ever, with quick time events, probably one of the first games to use them. This game blew me away in the arcade as a kid, and when it came to Sega Saturn, I was pumped. I wish I had the case for it. Very expensive game. Johnny Bazooka Tone, a cool 2D platformer with a pretty unique style. I like the character of Johnny Bazooka Tone, another failed mascot, but hey, I like the game. What can I say? Kind of like Mr. Bones. Let's see. We've got Gradius 5. I think this is Gradius 5 on the PS2 disc only. And Rise of the Argonauts, which I hear is a pretty good God of War style game based on, the Greek mythology, but also Jason and the Argonauts, the movie, maybe? Here we have a couple Saturn. I'm sorry, one Saturn game. Got knocked loose there. Nights into Dreams, classic game that came with a lot of the Sega Saturn consoles. I've had this since the 90s. Mind-blowing game at the time. 3D, kind of Sonic style, or not Sonic reminiscent. It's by the same team. This is supposed to be one of the best Indiana Jones games. This is a point-and-click adventure by LucasArts. Its own kind of Indiana Jones story. Very cute and how do you say? Very stylized graphics, hand-drawn, very expressive for the time. Just such a cool-looking game and tells its own Indiana Jones story. This is actually a PC game. I have an Indiana Jones game on the Wii, and I have it for one specific reason, and that's because it has a console port of Fate for Atlantis, which is very cool. Sorry. And I'm sure it's pretty conducive of Wiimote control. Silent Hill, this is a resurfaced game, but I did get this to work by using my PS1 and flipping it upside down, and I played through the game that way, no joke. So this game has seen better days, this copy, but yeah, this is one of the most sought-after games on the console, and it's a shame that I have a pretty beat-up version, resurfaced. But hey, I'm happy to have it, and I'm happy to have played through it on the original hardware. Here we have, let's see, Call of Juarez, a great Western-style first-person arcadey kind of shooter for the Xbox 360. Here we have a PS2 game, Neo Contra. This is a really cool side-scrolling Contra game that is pretty forgotten. Nobody really talks about this one, but it was, I thought, a pretty good jump into the next generation for Contra. Here we have, Unjammer Lammy, which is a spiritual successor to Parappa the Rapper. Very difficult. You have to be on point with your rhythm. Great rhythm-based game, though. Sorry. I thought I cracked the disc for a second. We've got Willie Beamish. I have fond memories of playing this with my sister back in the day. And her, like, coming in and watching me play this game, and she was sort of fascinated by it, because it was a point-and-click adventure where if you made the wrong move, you died, that kind of game, and it was trial and error, and we didn't know what to do, but we figured out how to get the frog, and all this crazy shit. 2D rhythm game. Yeah, 2D, but, like, with 3D kind of style graphics, right? But yeah, this is a PC game. The Adventures of Willie Beamish, kind of iconic for my sister and I. I don't even know if she remembers it, but I do. Night Trap on the Sega CD. I got this back in the day in 93, 94 when it came out, and I remember my father inviting all of his friends over. They were, like drinking beers and watching this. My dad play this game, and it was so mind blowing at the time because it was like a movie, and you can't really understand what it was like unless you were there. It's one of those things, but it was a huge deal at the time. And I know it's like a laughingstock now, but it wasn't a laughingstock to us back in the early to mid-90s. It was a novelty, and it was very, very cool technology. I still have a soft spot for that sort of technology. Here we have another, I believe, God of War type of game, Viking Battle for Asgard, and Mary-Kate and Ashley Sweet 16 Licensed to Drive. One of my favorite games on the PS2. No, just kidding. My buddy Larry got this for me because he thought I would get a kick out of it, and I'm saving it for when he's over and we can actually play it, and I could subject him to the torture that he wanted to subject me to. So I'm holding on to it. Worst game in my collection by far. All right, this is going to be it, guys. We're already going over an hour and a half here. I'd like to chill out on my night off and play some games, read some books. Okay, so let me take a breather. Oh, boy. Oh, okay. We're going to start up here. Now, these are going to have an annoying glare, but I'm going to try to get around it. We've got ActRaiser, music by Yuzo Koshiro. This is like a simulator where you play like a god simulator, but also an action platformer where you just go around slashing dudes up, trial and error, getting through the stage. Very cool, very unique game with great music. We have Alien 3. I owned ActRaiser 2, but I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I think it was way too difficult. Alien 3, pretty good game based on the Alien 3 movie. Axelay, a great shmup, shoot 'em up. I love this game. I actually have sat down and beaten this. One of the only shooters I've beaten. Check out the music for Axelay. Axelay. It's such an awesome name. Check out the music. The music is fantastic. Batman Returns, a great beat 'em up, one of the best on the console in my opinion. The only problem with this is it's not 2 players. But it does have good, varied stages. It feels like a Tim Burton movie, which is perfect. Gets the Danny Elfman music transcribed really well, or transposed really well. It's an awesome game. It makes you really feel like Batman and covers all the beats of the movie. Breath of Fire, I love this Capcom, or I should say, yeah, I'm pretty sure Capcom. I'm like freaking out now because I thought this was a Capcom game, but all I'm seeing is Squaresoft. What am I thinking of? I'm pretty sure Capcom developed this. Maybe Squaresoft licensed it or published it. I love this game. Used to play this with my mom all the time. Tiny Toons Adventures, Buster Busts Loose. I still think the most varied and unique Tiny Toon games that always keeps you guessing as to what they're going to throw at you in the next stage. It has like a football stage where you have to get from one field to the end. Really, really unique. Takes you all through all these different homages of TV shows and movies, and such a fun game. Colorful, vibrant, and fun. Chrono Trigger, yes, the beast. It's one of the more expensive games I have in my collection. I think it's up over $200 now. One of the best RPGs ever made. What can be said? This is one of the best. Akira Toriyama, artwork there and character design, and it is as good as everybody says it is. It's one of the best games of all time. Even people who don't like Japanese RPGs, turn-based, still praise this game. Do you have Rocko's Modern Life, Spunky's Dangerous Day on the SNES? No, I don't have that one. Is that one worth getting? I would definitely be interested in picking that up. Here we have Clock Tower. This is a game that is actually a repro. This is a reproduction, and I don't think it says it anywhere, but it is a reproduction, a pretty good one, right? You can only tell it is a reproduction based on the back here. But, yeah, this is a game that never came out in the West, and somebody reproduced it, and I bought it for really cheap back in the day. I don't even know what these go for. And, yeah, this is a side-scrolling game with a character inspired by Jennifer Connelly from Phenomena, the Argento film. This has very Italian horror vibes, and is a side-scrolling, almost survival horror game, but you can't fight back. So you have to run away from the bad guys, solve puzzles, very obtuse, does not hold your hand in any way, shape, or form. But I do recommend it. It's a very atmospheric game. Contra 3, my mom's, one of her favorite games and series growing up was Contra, when I was growing up was Contra. And this was our favorite. This we played time and time again. We never beat it, but we tried over and over again. It wasn't about beating games back in the day. It was about the experience, just bonding with your loved ones and playing games. And Alien Wars is still my favorite Contra game. It's phenomenal. Cool Spot. Different enough from the Genesis one to have on the Super Nintendo. Similar, but different enough. Two very good platformers. Can't go wrong with them. Daffy Duck, the Marvin Missions. This is supposed to be a pretty decent Sunsoft game here. One of my more recent additions to the collection. I will sit down and try this one day. Some of these Looney Tune games are hit or miss. We've got Donkey Kong Country 2. I obviously have Donkey Kong Country 1 over there in the box. Donkey Kong Country 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. It is superior to the first one. I love all of them, though. It's Duck Dodgers. That's right. Yeah, it's Duck Dodgers. Daffy Duck as the character Duck Dodgers. And Marvin the Martian. Let's see. Donkey Kong Country 3, which is damn good, but not as good as the first two. In my opinion, it goes 2, 1, 3. 1 is still the most nostalgic. Guys, if you want to see a crazy find, I had a thrifting video where I actually found this game at a Goodwill for 69 cents. Yes, and a lot of people thought it was faked. A lot of people thought it was staged or whatever. Yeah, the GBA version of DK Country 1 is slightly different and makes it a pretty unique game in and of itself. I do want those. But I got this for 70 cents, 69 cents at Goodwill about 5-6 years ago. And yeah, you know, this is one of the most sought-after games on the console. It's an incredible game that I've yet to play through, I gotta be honest, but I would like to beat it at some point. It gets a little hard to do without a walkthrough at a point. F-Zero. But Earthbound has so much charm. This game is worth like 400-something bucks now. F-Zero still holds up, still a challenging and fun game to play by yourself or with people. Some of the best music in any game that any video game composer has ever composed. Family Feud. Good answer. This is a fun and kind of absurd game with some really weird programming decisions. I'll go into it one day. But I'm very nostalgic for this. My family and I used to gather around the TV and play this all the time. It was super fun. This is what families did in the 90s, man. Let me put ActRaiser back. It's a little bit easier for me to pull games out here. We've got Final Fantasy II, which is 4 in Japan. We've got Final Fantasy III, my favorite Final Fantasy game, probably overall. 9's close. But yeah, 3 or 6. This is 6 in Japan. Final Fantasy 6. Incredible game. So atmospheric. Beautiful, wonderful storytelling. Not many games get it as good as Final Fantasy 6. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. This was kind of a kidified, more accessible version of Final Fantasy, which a lot of Americans and Westerners complained Final Fantasy was too hard. You know, too obtuse for Westerners to really understand. I say, oh well. Final Fight, I have this because I'm nostalgic for it. It is not, survey says, ding, yeah. I always make fun of it because there's points where they go, good answer. You know, like 8 people at the same time. And most of the time, it's not a good answer. So my brother and I think that's funny. Final Fight, not the best way to play this game. I told you already, Sega CD is this supreme premier way to play it. But this is the way I played it as a kid. I didn't know any better. I didn't know that it was a 2-player game in the arcade. I never played it in the arcade until later. And yeah, I love this game. Early Capcom SNES stuff. Beat 'em up. Great music, but not as good as the Sega CD or the arcade. Final Fight 2. This game gets beat up a lot. I don't know why. No pun intended. I love this game. I loved it as a kid more than the first one because it was actually 2 players. And yeah, this one actually was an exclusive to the console. So I don't think Final Fight 2 came out in the arcades. I could be wrong. Gradius 3 here. You know, classic Gradius Konami game there. Goof Troop. This game was actually made by Shinji Mikami, who would later go on to do the most iconic games in the Resident Evil franchise. He worked on Sweet Home, I believe. And then he did Goof Troop based on what he learned from Sweet Home. And this is a co-op game unlike any other. You really need each other. You can play it 1 player, but it's so much better and so much more fun with 2. It was designed for 2 players. It's a puzzle game, action puzzle game where you go around working with your teammate in tandem to take out the bad guys, solve puzzles, which are really difficult at points, will really crunch your mind. But this is Capcom, and Shinji Mikami learned a lot of this, you know, during the development of this game that he would put into Resident Evil, believe it or not. I know thematically that it couldn't be more different, Goof Troop and Resident Evil, but they do share gameplay similarities, and once you appreciate, once you know that, it just adds so much to Goof Troop. Goof Troop, I've always been together. That was a pretty good cartoon back in the day. Here we go, another Capcom game. They were on fire during this era. The Great Circus Mystery starring Mickey and Minnie. I love this game. Playing this co-op with my sister or my mom back in the day was a great fun. These games, it's kind of like Kirby. You could suck up other people's abilities and, you know, you upgrade. It's a fun game, if not a little too simple. But hey, that's okay every once in a while. It's like Chippendales, you know? Very nostalgic game for me. I remember playing this when my mom was sick. I just remember laying in bed with her. She was sick. We were drinking like soup. We were both sick. And I remember playing this game that really captured my imagination about this dude who was kind of like in this, he was miniaturized in this gigantic world, Harley's Humongous Adventure. And I hear the game actually holds up pretty well. Hook. This is the version I grew up playing. I love this version of Hook. I grew up later and people were trashing this game. And I'm like, I don't get it. I've loved this game since I was a kid. It has a couple flaws, but I think it's a great game that follows the movie plot really well. Great music inspired by John Williams. Beautiful pixel art graphics. I just think it's a great game. What can I say? I hear the Sega CD1 is pretty good too. Illusion of Gaia. This is, I believe, an action RPG. I've never sat down and played it, but I need to. Great, probably the best Indiana Jones game. Side-scrolling action platformer in the style of the Super Star Wars games that LucasArts would do. This game is arguably even better, but brutally difficult. It will kick your fucking ass and hand it to you over and over again on a platter. Jurassic Park for the Super Nintendo, very good version of this game, better than the NES. I like this game quite a bit. Top-down Zelda style, but you have guns and you got to kill the dinos and yada yada. I think there's even first-person elements in that one. Here we go, one of my favorite baseball games of all time, my favorite baseball game on the Super Nintendo, Ken Griffey Jr., Major League Baseball. Still holds up. My brother and I still play this. My mom and I probably played this game more than anything else. We were big Yankee fans growing up. She was born in the Bronx. I was born in Stamford, and we grew up watching the Yankees from '94 onward, really. And Ken Griffey Jr. was a big deal at that time. And the game is very, very funny. Oh, come on! Sometimes when you strike out a batter, they get pissed and they break the bat and they go, oh, come on! It's very funny. Killer Instinct, black cartridge here. I love that. Great 2D fighter from Rare. Killer Combo! King of Dragons. I love this game. Yeah, it's got music from, what's her name? Shimomura. Shimomura. It's her last name, at least. She's the woman who did the music for Parasite Eve, Kingdom Hearts. She also did a lot of tracks for King of Dragons, and that's what makes them memorable. I forget her first name, but Shimomura is her last name. She's very talented. And this game is still a game my brother and I have not conquered. We've been trying since we were younger. One day we will defeat this. We've gotten to the final boss, and then we get our ass handed to us. It's a game you need to play through a few times to get with its sort of nuanced controls, its cadence. It has a cadence to the controls, which is very difficult to master. Great beat-em-up, high fantasy Dungeons and Dragons style beat-em-up that I believe is an arcade port, but they put so much work into this, it feels like its own game. Knights of the Round, another Capcom arcade game that is high fantasy, not as good as King of Dragons in my humble opinion, but a 2D, this not beat 'em up in the sense where you go down, up and down on planes. This is just a straight 2D game with arcade elements, fun game, one I haven't beaten. A Link to the Past, probably one of my favorite Zelda games of all time, easily, hands down, top 3, no doubt about it. One of the best games ever made. Iconic. Magic Sword, another game. Oh, yeah. I am conflating Knights of the Round with Magic Sword. Magic Sword is the one I just described. Knights of the Round is another King of Dragons style beat 'em up, which is phenomenal. My brother and I have also played this. Very difficult. Cannot beat them. But still, very good game. Next up, we have The Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. This is from the same series as It's from the same series as, I don't know. Maybe it's not the World of Illusion and all that. Magical Quest is its own kind of thing, but Great Circus Mystery is kind of in the same ballpark. Castle of Illusion. They all kind of play the same. Very cutesy, very accessible. Most of the time, 2 players. I'm not sure if this one is. But it's classic Capcom Disney platforming. You can't go wrong with it. It's great stuff. Great to play with multiple people, especially the Great Circus Mystery. Next up, we have Mario Paint, a game that was so iconic and novel for the time. Came with a mouse and a mouse pad, which had all these different mini games and different ways to do art and to erase things. And I remember the Fly Swatter mini game. Bum 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 bum. I remember the music, very catchy, iconic game from the 90s. I have the mouse still. I don't have the mouse pad, however. Mario's Time Machine. You got to understand at the time, a new Mario game came out, and, my mom and I were like, oh, cool, a new Mario game. This must be great. So we got it, and we tried to love it as much as we possibly could. But, there's a point where we realized these are not the same types of Mario games. These are not made by Nintendo. Exactly, Jolly Good. It's an educational Mario title. We didn't know that. We tried to give it our best shot. We didn't understand it. It's very convoluted and I mean, good luck figuring this game out. But I'll never get rid of it because of the many nights my mom and I spent trying to figure out Mario's Time Machine. Mega Man X, a great Mega Man game, kind of rebooted the franchise for a new generation. Beautiful game, great music. Capcom did no wrong during this era. Metal Combat, one of the only Super Scope exclusive games to come out. This is the sequel to Battle Clash, or actually, no, I think this came out first, and then Battle Clash came out. They were both Super Scope games that weren't very good, if I'm being honest, or I should say aren't very good, but at the time they blew all of our minds because, I don't know, because the light gun games were just kind of cool. It was kind of like a magic trick. You didn't really quite know how it worked. You knew how to set it up, and then things happened on screen, and it was kind of neat. Pretty plain Jane these days, though. Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City. This was a game I played a lot of as a kid, and there was a period in my teens where I was like, I wonder how this game has held up, if it's been being received well now. And believe it or not, a lot of people like this game. They think it's a pretty good Michael Jordan, sponsored action platformer. It's kind of funny. You dunk, like there's these random hoops in the levels amidst all the bad guys where you kind of dunk on, and you get points and like special power-ups. Space Jam vibes. Oh yeah, this came out around that same time when Michael Jordan, was on top of the world. So Mickey Mania, a very, very brutal Mickey game. That's very unforgiving in terms of how many lives it gives you and stuff. But a good one. Not made by Capcom. This is a Sony one here. So different type of game. Beautiful graphics though. Really walks you through the history of Mickey, which I think is very cool in and of itself. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game I grew up with, along with the really not so good Sega CD version. And this is a one-plane 2D action beat-em-up kind of platformer with all the bosses from the early years of the show, all the enemies, all the characters from the early years of the show. Great music that stands up with the music from the show, has some original compositions, compositions which I literally remember, like I can still hum them. And yeah, Power Rangers for Mighty Morphin for the Super Nintendo by Bandai is fantastic. And people prefer this game. I think this game is fantastic, probably superior in terms of gameplay and design. It's a beat-em-up, multi-plane beat-em-up, but I still have a soft spot for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. What can I say? These were, what's the series I'm trying to think of? Valis. These reminded me of Valis. And I think they're kind of known as Valis knockoffs in a lot of way, where one-plane 2D slash-em-ups, Anyway. Mystical Ninja, Goemon. My buddy had Killer Instinct and always wanted to play it when I'd go to his house. Oh yeah, that was a big deal game at the time. It was so cool to see. So arcadey. They really captured the arcade vibe for the Super. Legend of Mystical Ninja is a great two-player, side-scrolling, River City Ransom-like action RPG exploration game with awesome artwork and a series that didn't get much love in the West, but I love Goemon. Very quirky in Japanese. Pilot Wings for the Super Nintendo. This was, made to show off the capabilities of the Super NES with its Mode 7, which nobody really understands what it means even today. But they use marketing terms like that. Mode 7, blast processing, things that we actually remember to this day. Total Carnage was one of my favorite Super Nintendo. Yeah, that game was awesome. Was that the red case one, or it had a red cartridge? Plock. You want to play a very cute claymation platformer with awesome music by a really talented chiptune composer? Check out Plock. This is a great game where you throw your arms and your limbs at bad guys and traverse different worlds, Mario style. Very unique platformer, fun, challenging, awesome. I loved this Final Fight ripoff when I was growing up. It's not as good. It's not the best beat 'em up in the world, but I still think it holds up pretty well. Look at those rad dudes. Those guys were considered cool back in the 90s. 2 players. Hey, it had that over Final Fight, so. First memory of the game consoles and first game. Very nice. Secret of Mana by Squaresoft. This is an unbelievable and cool, beautiful 2D top-down action RPG that you could actually play through with a friend, and that was a huge deal at the time. Still is, in my opinion. So I'd love to sit down and play through that with somebody. Star Fox for the Super NES. Oh, thank you. Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know if I had the red cartridge, but oh yeah, I forget. There was a Super Nintendo game with a red cart. Appreciate you so much for having me, and I look forward to your next live stream. Finna eat some food. Hopefully I'll catch you around the flea market sometime. Much love. Sounds good, Jimmy. You take it easy. Thank you for checking in. I really appreciate it. You know it means a lot. Star Fox. Street Fighter 2 Turbo. This is probably the best version, or the one that came after this, on the Super Nintendo, so I'm happy and content to have that classic. Super Castlevania 4, probably one of the best traditional Castlevania games pre-Symphony of the Night. Love this game. Very atmospheric. Really pushes the Super Nintendo, in my opinion, despite it being an earlier game. Super Mario All-Stars, this kind of was the first HD remake game that was released, so thanks to Nintendo, we have that, which, you know, has its pros and cons. This one has the first 3 games, as well as Lost Levels and Super Mario World. No, this one doesn't have Super Mario World, right, because I didn't need that. I have that separately. Super Mario Kart, classic game, still fun. Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, such a big deal at the time, where Nintendo teams up with Squaresoft to bring a Nintendo turn-based RPG centered around Mario, but with a darker sort of edge to it. Edginess. That Squaresoft edginess, if I may. Super Mario World, one of the best games ever made. I remember in 92 or... yeah, probably 92. My mother, I was having a hard time, or 91, 92, I was having a hard time pooping on the toilet. TMI, I know. And my mother told me that if I was to poop on the toilet for my first time, she would reward me by getting a Super Nintendo for the family, for the house. And I remember when I first... I remember the poop. I pooped on the toilet for the first time, and I ran to my mom and was like, I did it. And she was like, all right, off to Woolworths we go. And so we went down the street to Woolworths. We went to the basement, and we bought the Super Nintendo with Super Mario World. We came home, and magic ensued. It was a magical moment, despite it starting rather shitty. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, a game that I feel like is oddly forgotten. Really tight mechanics, great game. A lot of people are bothered by the annoying crying baby Mario, but hey, if you could look back past that and get good at this game, it's a very rewarding experience and an awesome game. You guys remember the Phantom 2042 show, or 2040, that's right. 2040 show, which was an animated show based on the old 20s and 30s comic. This is actually a Metroidvania game. A lot like Metroid, action, sprite-based, beautiful graphics, good music, and a pretty good game for what it is. I'm a sucker for the Metroidvanias, so. Speaking of Metroidvanias, the one that pretty much, you know, culminates and lays the foundation for the genre. I think something like 20 to 40 million units of Super Mario were sold, becoming the most popular seller. Yes, absolutely. But how many were sold because a kid pooped on the toilet for the first time? Tell me that. Riddle me that. I doubt there's any stats on that. Super Metroid, I have played through and beat multiple times. It's one of the best games ever made. So atmospheric for a 2D game. Really proved to the world what a 2D game could be capable of. In a time that we were on the cusp of 3D gaming. Super Scope 6, you know, pretty novel and pretty cool for the time. But I have this in the collection because I've had it since I was a kid. And maybe one day I'll bust out that Super Scope and take a trip down memory lane. Super Punch-Out, an absolutely fantastic Punch-Out game. This one is not quite as challenging as Mike Tyson's, but just as fun and just as pattern, you know, you have to recognize the patterns, great characters and enemies. Such a fun game. All the Punch-Out games have been good, even the Wii one. Super Smash TV, the way that I grew up playing Super Smash was on the Super Nintendo. 2 players. My mom and I used to play this all the time. It was one that you could pick up and play for 15, 20 minutes, and you get your ass kicked, and then you put it down. And such a great game. Big money, big prizes. You'll love it. That's one of the lines from the game that was kind of inspired by RoboCop. They even had the line in Super Smash that went, "I'll buy that for $1," because the whole point is to get cash and prizes, and it's kind of like Running Man meets RoboCop. It's actually a lot like Running Man, conceptually and thematically. Super R-Type, I haven't beat any of these Gradius or R-Type games on the Super Nintendo. I try time and time again, but I suck at them. Super Star Wars, this is the Player's Choice Edition there, million seller. It's a brutally hard franchise, trilogy of games, but a very fun one, and very true to the series. And you could play as all the different characters, including Chewbacca, I think. Tin Star, a great gallery shooter, I'll say, where you could shoot everything on the screen, get points. Great kind of Wild Wild West, retro-futuristic Western-style game with a kind of cool character named Tin Star. I always thought he was kind of cool and iconic, but I was the only one that felt that way in the 90s. That was what's so special about the 90s. Things that were special to you meant the world to you. And you didn't have the internet to shatter sort of your conceptions of things. You know, you kind of held true to your conceptions. And I think that's an important thing that we've lost in our culture, is appreciating the small world that you build for yourself and understanding that the internet is an extension of that world, but it's not the real world. It's something that we're losing sight of. Toy Story, a really fun movie-based game that followed the game rather well. I loved this game back in the day because I loved the film. And there were a lot of cool secrets that you can do and invincibility that you can unlock and stuff like that. I don't know, really cool. I've always loved Toy Story. I tried to beat it recently and couldn't. Another movie-based game that I loved so much as a kid. My dad and I played this all the time. Almost 30 years old. Enjoy it, my friend. True Lies is a top-down action shooter, very strategic, very difficult, but kind of carries you through the scenes of the movie. The music, I wish it was more diverse, but it's left an indelible mark in my mind. A game that is very brutal, got a T rating for the time. Very difficult, but a game that I need to sit down and actually beat and really figure out the controls. True Lies, I think it's an awesome game. I don't know. Freaking Tom Arnold's in it. Super Turrican, probably my favorite Turrican game that I've actually played, by Sega. Awesome music. Or is that, I might be, I think that's Midnight Resistance music I'm doing. Very similar run and gun style games though. I have beaten Super Turrican, very difficult game. Bullet Hell. Bullet Hell run and gun Contra-like. Here we have Turtles in Time, Turtles 4. This is obviously one of the best games ever made. Helped sort of chip away at the block that would become the modern beat-em-up or the idealized beat-em-up game. This is a fantastic game that really keeps things interesting for a beat-em-up. You could throw enemies at the screen, very long, a lot of different levels. Kind of takes you through some of the cartoon episodes. Great voice acting. You know, it's like, let's kick shell, green apple, 3 a.m. Great bosses from the old cartoon. Awesome. One of my favorite, I would argue that this is my favorite shooter of all time, based on the old anime Area 88, which is a great anime, so check that out. There's a free English dub version on YouTube without ads. Early Capcom SNES, this came out around the launch window. Didn't know it was based on an anime back in the day. I would have liked to know that so that I could have watched it back in the 90s. It's like they kept this stuff from the West. It's very weird. But this is a total anime-inspired, awesome shooter. Game Boy, oh yeah. We're going to talk about those, don't worry. UN Squadron is great, has some of the best music on the console. A great electric guitar. Hard as hell, I still haven't beaten it, but I've gotten damn close. This is another game that is so hard, and I want to beat it, but I can't quite do it. I plan to start streaming old games. I think that's going to be something I enjoy, so we'll see if we could do it together. Excalibur 2097 has music by a famous European dance band at the time. This means you're becoming an anime guy 20 years ago. Yeah, I was exposed to anime by Dragon Ball Z, and that kind of inspired me to look into the other anime. I wasn't huge on Dragon Ball Z, but I found Dragon Ball shortly thereafter and liked that. Then I found Ghost in the Shell, and that was the beginning of my passion in the mid-90s for anime. Excalibur 2097 is a one-dimensional action beat-em-up kind of thing. Very difficult, great music, good bosses, very brutal though. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum. One of the best co-op games on the console. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. If you're a film fan, you'll appreciate all the film references in it. It is awesome. One of the best games on the console. Super Game Boy. Basically, you put these games into the Super Game Boy, put the Game Boy into your Super Nintendo, and you could play these games on the console, which is the way I prefer. It even colors them and makes them look nice and goodly. Also plays Game Boy Color, I'm pretty sure. All right, so we're going to do these real quickly. We'll start with these here. Again, the way that I usually play my handheld is on the Game Boy Advance player, which I could play on my TV, which is the ideal way to do it. It makes it basically feel like a Super Nintendo. It's amazing. Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I love these puzzly kind of games. Very fun. This one without a label is Sonic Advance. This one here is Sonic Advance 3. Great Sonic games. Advance Wars, one of the games I've put the most time into on the Game Boy Advance. Still haven't beaten it, but it is a brutal and fun game. Very strategic. Based on the old Famicom Wars series from the Famicom console, which never came out in the West until this game. It's like a 10-year-old franchise, and it finally came out in 01 or whatever. Tales of Fantasia, the way that I've played Tales of Fantasia, a game that never came out in the West. It did come out on the Game Boy Advance, which was a pretty damn good port of the Super Famicom version, and a wonderful game with a really unique combat mechanics, 2D, kind of real-time, but also turn-based, very unique. We've got Advance Wars, also have a Switch game, but that's right, yeah, they remade it pretty recently, 1 and 2. Klonoa, if you guys like puzzle platformers, this is a great puzzle platformer that'll crunch your mind and gives you a little bit of action. Very fun. Not many Klonoa games, so, definitely want to check out. We've got Golden Sun, a great turn-based RPG with such a dynamic combat system, especially for the time. It was mind-blowing for the time to see a handheld console moving the way that Golden Sun did. Very dynamic camera work during the combat. Just unique combat mechanics, what can I say? Wonderful story, too. Pokemons! These games are all super expensive now, but hey, I've had these since I was a young boy. These are the ones I grew up playing. Pokemon Yellow. Pokemon Red and Blue. Yellow was basically the same thing, just you had Pikachu. That was your starter. I was always more of a Charmander kind of guy. I was a Pokemon Red guy where a lot of my friends were blue. Pokemon Gold. I actually have Pokemon Gold still in the box here. Look at that. One of my most prized possessions. This means a lot to me because Pokemon Gold meant a lot to me, and I played that game more than most at the time. This has a dead battery. I do need to get it replaced. That's okay. I still have the cart. We have DuckTales 2. I don't have DuckTales 2 on the NES, which is super hard to find, but I do have DuckTales 2 on the Game Boy, which is a unique game in and of itself made by Capcom. Super Mario Land. These are great, very distinct series of games for the Game Boy. All unique, exclusive Mario games. Bomberman. This is a fun Pocket Bomberman here. Fun Bomberman game. Kirby's Dream Land. This is where it all began. Actually, I think before Kirby on the NES, Kirby's Adventure. This game came out first and kind of set the groundwork for the Kirby franchise. And everybody loves Kirby. How can you not? Look at how cute he is. The games are a little bit too easy for my taste, but I do enjoy playing an easy game once in a while. Daisy was in Mario Land for the first time. That's right. Yeah, Nintendo did enough to kind of differentiate it. Tomb Raider. This is one of the newer additions to my collection. I found this at a a thrift shop for cheap, and it does work. Tomb Raider Curse of the Sword. Kind of takes Tomb Raider from the PS1 and 2Difies it, puts it into 2D. Looks pretty unique. I'll give it a shot at some point. Looks like it retains the atmosphere. Super Mario Land 2, a lot of people say this is the best Mario Land game. 6 golden coins. It's way bigger than the first game. Way more diverse and great music. All these games have great music. Awesome. We've got Crash. These are actually really fun games on the GBA for what they are. They're 2D versions of the 3D Crash games. Yep, I do. Well, yeah, Obey Wario, Destroy Mario. That's right. I'm pretty sure I have Mario Land 3 Wario World in here somewhere. Turok, this is based on the comics, actually, at the time. And this came before the N64 game, believe it or not. And is a pretty decent, exclusive platformer for the Game Boy, if you're into that kind of thing. Bomberman Game Boy, a good game that I have beaten. A fun Game Boy port, or Game Boy version of Bomberman. Turtles, Fall of the Foot Clan. Very different game than the other games that came out on the NES. Well, similar, I'll say, but is a little bit slower, kind of feels like you're underwater. The second game is a Metroidvania. I still need to track that one down. We had it at the game shop recently, and I should have picked it up, but I passed on it because I'm a disciplined boy now. But this is a Konami game. Ultra, I explained what Ultra was last time. One of the few shoot-'em-ups on the Game Boy. This is Nemesis. I believe this is also... is this from the Gradius series, I want to say? An offshoot? Yep, there's Wario Land. This is Super Mario Land 3. This is my favorite of the Mario Land games. It's a Wario game. You play as Wario. It is absolutely awesome and gives you a different perspective on the Mario games and different control scheme. Next up, we'll save that. Well, actually, screw it. F-Zero. This is a great Game Boy Advance version of F-Zero. We have a couple Game Gear games here. Sonic Triple Trouble. Jurassic Park. I've yet to play this, but it has really nice looking graphics. We've got one of my favorite Zelda games, top 3 for sure, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. I have beaten it. It's got some of the best music. Boom, 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 dun, 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 dun. Beautiful music, beautiful game, a wistful Zelda game, dreamlike qualities. Oh, it's remarkable. We've got Metroid Fusion. A great Metroid game. Probably one of the best Metroid 2D games ever. It's on Game Gear Games. Also have Mega Collection on PS2. Ah, okay, cool. I didn't know that. Very nice. Advance Wars 2, Black Hole Rising. I always remember Black Hole Sun from Soundgarden. Black Hole Rising, arguably even better than the first game. It gives you more ways to accomplish your mission, which is important. In the original Advance Wars, you had to really trial and error it and see what worked and what didn't. Learn what each combat unit does, and you still have to do that to this game, but it's slightly different in terms of design and gameplay. Found this at a flea market years ago. Oh, it was so cool to find this. Adventure Island. It's an Adventure Island port, obviously. Wonder Boy to the Game Boy. Dragon Warrior Monsters. I've not played this Dragon Warrior game, but I think it's kind of Dragon Warrior's response to Pokemans by Enix before Squaresoft and Enix teamed up and became Square Enix. Final Fantasy Adventure is by Sunsoft. This is a simpler Final Fantasy game from what I understand. Battletoads. Every single version of Battletoads is slightly different, designed differently by different developers, so do want to give that one a shot at some point. It's supposed to be pretty good. We've got Legend of Illusion. It's in the same franchise as Castle and World of Illusion there. I've yet to play this one because I don't have a working Game Gear right now. GG Shinobi. This is a game I played probably the most on the Game Gear back in the day. This and Sonic. I loved this Shinobi game. It was kind of like, I think it was either this one or the second one that was kind of like Mega Man, where you had different color Shinobis and you kind of work your way through. I think that was the second one. But I played GG Shinobi 1 and 2 quite a bit. Awesome games. Axe Battler. This was kind of a, if I remember right, a Zelda-style Golden Axe game. Very unique, very cool, not talked about. The best-selling, probably the one I see the most, is Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic 2 on the Game Gear. This is Sega's response to Castlevania, Vampire Master of Darkness, and a damn good Castlevania clone. Traditional Castlevania clone. Batman Returns looks beautiful on the Game Gear, but I haven't played it much. Streets of Rage on the Game Gear. Had to have this because Yuzo Koshiro actually produces music unique to this game, and it's fantastic, composes and produces it. Game Gear many years ago, but I don't have it anymore. Yeah, I have 2 that need to be repaired because the sound doesn't work, which is a common problem. Outrun Europa. I picked this up at a flea market pretty recently, got it down to $3, and that's worth it, definitely with the case too. Outrun Europa. I didn't even know Outrun had its own kind of game there. Outrun game. Sonic 2. Probably the game I see most on the Game Gear. And Psychic World. I think this is an action RPG. I'm not exactly sure. Next up, actually, let's finish up these. We've got Mario Golf. Mario Golf Advance Tour, which is a great Mario Golf game with RPG elements and an RPG story, believe it or not. Very cool, and it's 2 players on the Game Boy Advance player. This is the only cart-only 3DS game I have ever, Oasis. It's supposed to be a really underrated Nintendo-published game for the 3DS. Action RPG. Let's see. Here we've got Final Fantasy IV, the actual Final Fantasy IV, which is, I think, 2. Yeah, 2 is 4. And this is the true port of 4. Mario vs. Donkey Kong for the DS, an extension of the Game Boy Advance games. Both great games. All right, Kim Possible 2, hear me out. The Kim Possible Game Boy Advance games are not terrible. They're actually pretty fun and competent platformers, 2D platformers. And if you like the show, even better. I grew up kind of avoiding the show because it was kind of girly. Kong Skull Island is a Zelda-style King Kong game on the Game Boy Advance. Looks really nice, sounds good, plays well. And we have Donkey Kong Country 2 here, which is a unique game. David Wise composes exclusive music for these games. And I do have Donkey Kong Country 2, which is a good port and slightly different. Tony Hawk 3 and 4, very, very unique and different kinds of Tony Hawk games that control way better than they should. Very, very nice playing games, isometric view. Very surprisingly good. Check these out if you could. Breath of Fire 2, there you go. Love Breath of Fire 2. Nightmare Before Christmas, I own that because it is a Metroidvania. It is a Metroidvania Nightmare Before Christmas themed game with supposed to have really good gameplay and exploration. So, Bomberman Max 2, a really cool Bomberman game for the Game Boy Advance. Donkey Kong Country 3, again, separates itself from the Super NES version, kind of upgraded in some ways, downgraded in other ways, but hey. Max Payne. This game's getting hard to find. I had to own it. I've owned it since it came out. I love this game. I think it's really cool to see Max Payne in an isometric, pixel art style. It plays very distinctly from the others. It's a little frustrating to get into the controls and the sluggishness of it, but it is a novel experience for Max Payne fans. And like I said, this one's getting up there. The Castlevania games, of course, Circle of the Moon, I actually have in the box there. And Harmony of Dissonance. I think I'm just missing one of the Game Boy Advance games now. I need that. I need that. Thanks, Dave Mustaki. I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. Good day from Australia. Nice. Welcome. Thank you. That's awesome. I like the kangaroos there, too. I need, what is it? One of the ones on the thingy. Aria of Sorrow, I think, is the Game Boy Advance one I need to complete my DS and Game Boy Advance set. All right, now we're going to cover the last 2 shelves here. And Wallabies. There you go. We've got Advance Wars 2, Circle of the Moon, Final Fight 1, which at the time was a really cool port of this game that I played on the go. And it was kind of an upgraded version. I thought it was pretty awesome. You can link up, play 2-player. And yeah, I was such a big Final Fight fan at the time that seeing Capcom put this one out on the consoles, on a handheld, was really cool. Link's Awakening, I actually have it in the box there, so a really nice box. Oracle of Seasons, I thought I had, didn't I? Oh, okay, must be there. There's more Game Boy games there. Oracle of Seasons, an awesome Zelda game. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. This is a continuation of the Mario RPG series of action-y, turn-based, input-based, turn-based RPGs. Very fun, very quirky, great sense of humor. They're renowned for their sense of humor, really. Metroid Fusion, I've got the box for it. We'll cover these. Iridium 3D, want to see a Game Boy Advance game that'll blow your mind in terms of what the Game Boy Advance could accomplish graphically. Iridium's really impressive. Solar Striker, I believe that's a shooter. There's Oracle of Seasons, underrated Zelda game, I think developed by Capcom. We've got Castlevania Adventure. What's my favorite console? Probably with an amount of great games as well as diversity and nostalgia, all of those combined, I'd say the NES. I love the NES. It's the console that I played the most growing up, have the most fond memories for, and it holds a very special place in my heart. Kirby's Dream Land 2. Another great Kirby game. Looney Tunes. Pretty solid Looney Tunes platformer. Most of them are. Super Mario Brothers Deluxe. This is kind of a handheld, upgraded version of the original Mario. I think it has Super Mario Brothers. I think it also has Mario Brothers, the arcade game. This is... What's the name of this? Mole Mania, I believe. Mania. Moru Mania. Yeah, Mole Mania. The hamster from Kirby is also from Australia. Ah. Really feel it started the craze. Yeah. So we have Mole Mania. The American copy is way too expensive, so I got the Japanese one. Plays exactly the same. A later Game Boy game that's really unique, made by Nintendo. I'm pretty sure developed by Nintendo. If not, at least published. Sabrina, the animated series Zapped, a series I never grew up with as a kid. I watched the live-action show. But this is by Way Forward, I'm pretty confident. And Way Forward knows how to make 2D games. They've been doing it for a long time, in a time where 2D games weren't that popular. And they're still making games like Shantae and all that kind of stuff. So this one is Puyo Puyo. This is a Japanese-only puzzle game which never made its way to America for God knows what reason. This game would have done gangbusters. They should have seen what Tetris did and then realized that Puyo Puyo was kind of an extension of Tetris. They didn't bring it over here, so I have the very nice Japanese version. We have Super Monkey Ball. This is so impressive. Super Monkey Ball Jr. So impressive to see what they could pull off with the Game Boy Advance. Is it the best version? No, it's not, but it's pretty novel and pretty unique. Is this the last slot for tonight? Yeah, we're gonna definitely call it and do this another day, maybe Friday or something. And last but not least for the Game Boy guys, Gargoyles Quest, which is a fun Gargoyles Quest game. This is a small franchise that is a branch of the Ghouls and Ghosts or Ghosts and Goblins series by Capcom. I actually haven't beaten this one, but I have beaten the NES one, the second one. So, and I have never played Demon's Crest, which is a very hard game to find on Super Nintendo. Metroidvania game, very cool. I need to sit down and actually play through it. Onto the DS, we have Alice in Wonderland. I always really love the art style of this little platformer here. Very distinct, very unique. Sounds good. I'll try to schedule the live streams a day ahead to give you guys a heads up. And Super Monkey Ball was good. Oh, yeah, especially the GameCube version, right? But Alice in Wonderland, little platformer, cutesy, very, again, Tim Burton-esque, unique art style, which I really love. Kind of Roald Dahl meets Tim Burton. And Aliens Infestation, an awesome Aliens Metroidvania game that has permadeath for your crew. You know, you grow to like these guys who are kicking ass and upgrading, and then they die in a boss fight. And yeah, really fun game that keeps you on edge. Massive time zone differences. Gotcha. That's a good point. We've got all three of the Castlevania DS games. I love the Castlevania DS games. These are all from the same cloth that Symphony of the Night is. And there's 6 in total between the DS and the Game Boy Advance. And I love every single one of them. The only one I haven't played is Aria of Sorrow, which I don't own. Contact, a very Earthbound-inspired game published by Atlas, which is supposed to be a great and cute, turn-based RPG for the DS. Dragon Quest IV, Chapters of the Chosen, one of my most valuable games, and I never knew this was going to become that valuable. A game that I played back in the day, my first Dragon Quest game, and it absolutely blew me away. Wow. Friday, 8:46 a.m. there. Jeez. So here, yes, this is a remake of number 4 of Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest IV in Japan and in America, respectively. And they redo the graphics, and it's a beautiful remake of such a wonderful narrative, wonderful game, simple combat, but effective, grindy combat. You play as a bunch of different characters who all come together, you know, after completing their own personal journeys, and they all come together to defeat the great evil. It's a wonderful game. I wish I got the other Dragon Quest, Dragon Quest V, when it came out, but I didn't. This one, look, I got this for $10 at some point. Dragon Quest IX, Sentinels of the Starry Sky. This was exclusive to the DS, and one that I look forward to playing. Final Fantasy III. This is the actual Final Fantasy III. Japanese Final Fantasy III. So, there you go. We've got a couple PSP games here. Got Every Extend Extra, a crazy, I believe, rhythm game, if I remember correctly, and Gurumin, which is I've never played it, but it is a kind of Zelda-style action RPG, cutesy. chibi style. We've got Golden Sun. I don't have Golden Sun 2, but this is the third one, which kind of brings the story to a head. In the first game, you play as the good guys. Second game, the bad guys. And then you learn that the bad guys and the good guys have something in common. There's a greater evil. They team up. It's an awesome little story. Bowser's Inside Story, continuation on the DS of the Super Mario RPG series. I always thought it was weird how it lost its kind of Squaresoft edge, its edginess, but hey, that's just me. Has a quirky style in and of itself. Monster Tale, a game that I've always heard great things about. I hear it's a really unique experience on the DS. It's an side-scrolling action RPG, which has other elements like pet raising sim elements. This is, look at that. I got this for $3. Look up how much this game goes for now. I mean, I think it's over $100. I sold a couple of my Pokemon games for the DS, but I held on to Diamond, which is still my favorite on the DS. I really like this game, and I do want to sit down and play through it one day. I've yet to do that. Very traditional Pokemon guy. Retro Game Challenge. There was a time where this was really sought after, hard to find. Really cool concept where you play on a TV in the game, and each game, there's a whole bunch of different mini games, and each one is an homage to an older 8-bit style game. There's like 8 to 10 different games, and you got to master those games arcade style, get better and better at them until you complete them, and then you can move on to the next challenge. It's fucking cool, and it's exclusive. Another hard to find game on the DS, rhythm game. Very hard for me to play on the DS, admittedly, but I love these kinds of quirky micro game Nintendo developed games like WarioWare. Rhythm Heaven is awesome. I prefer it on the Wii, but still very cool. Scourge Hive. I think this game is supposed to be better on the GBA. I gotta do more research and figure out which one's supposed to be better, but I do want to play what's supposed to be the better version. It's an isometric Metroidvania-like game in theme and in gameplay, so I think that's pretty cool. Sonic. What do we got? Oh wow, I forgot about this. Look at this, guys. You'll like this. GameCom. This is the only GameCom that I still have. I used to have Lights Out. I'm not sure what happened to it. GameCom. That's a story for another day. A handheld console, black and white console that didn't last too long. Sonic Rush. These games are awesome. They really have a ton of speed, a sense of speed to them, and very, very cool. Man, my throat is hurting from talking. Star Fox Command, a game I've never played on the DS, but it looks like it continues in the suit of the Star Fox games. Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. This is a branch from the Lords of Shadow 3D games and kind of brings a 2D style, action beat-em-up style to the 2D Castlevania genre. If you have to play it. Chibi Robo Zip Flash. This one is a sequel to the Chibi Robo game on the GameCube. Looks side-scrolling, looks totally quirky and unique. How long have I been collecting? Actively since 99. So I remember 99, I made the decision to start collecting because I was receiving allowance from my grandmother for mowing the lawn. Used to go into Funkoland with like 20, 30 bucks and buy a shit ton of games. We've got Epic Mickey, Power of Illusion, from the same series of Castle of Illusion and all that. So definitely want to play this one. I've heard it's a little easier, but hey. Ocarina of Time 3D, the only remake that we've gotten of this game, and it is a beautiful remake that really irons out some of the graphical flaws of the original, if you want to call them that. Sonic Rush, yeah, that's a great one, isn't it? Majora's Mask 3D, I picked this up rather recently too, after trading a bunch of stuff. I want to give this game another shot. Very, very complex when I was a kid. My older cousins always understood how to play, but I never got it. Link Between Worlds, a nice spiritual successor to Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, with a really cool mechanic where you can kind of blend into the wall and traverse areas that way and solve puzzles. Here we have Shinobi, one of the last Shinobi games made. I know we're getting a new one. I can't fucking wait for that. It looks so good and so authentic. This is a 2D Shinobi game that is very difficult in a Souls-like manner, where each enemy has their own pattern. You have to parry, you have to figure out their weaknesses, and an awesome Shinobi game, but very difficult. But I love that it's an exclusive on the 3DS. All right, guys, last but not least, or at least, I'm not sure if it's least. This is a Shigeru Miyamoto dream project, which he finally got to do at the launch of the 3DS, and oversaw the creation of this game, and It's a simulation. It's a sub simulator with combat, with navigation, and really utilizes some of the cool aspects of the 3DS at the time. I actually have a 2DS right now. Thank you. I'm glad you had fun. Not sure if I showed you guys. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. I almost knocked things over. Oh, no. Oh, no. No! Hold on, guys. God. Everything is so perfectly placed. All right. Sorry about that, guys. We had some technical difficulties. I wanted to show you that. I'm not sure if I showed this off, but oh, yeah, I did. This is my 2DS here. I'm not big on the 3D. It kind of gives me a headache, so got a beautiful 3DS that also plays the 2DS games. Yes, it plays them cropped, but that's okay. It's the original aspect ratio that's important. Oh my goodness. All right, that took longer than expected. We're going on 3 hours here, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the new people that stumbled in. Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing plenty of live streams. I'm going to be trying to do this at least once or twice a week. Coming up with different themes for videos and stuff like that. So thank you guys. I got to put this room back in order. Actually, I guess I might as well wait because, you know, I want to talk about this stuff maybe Friday. I'm still deciding. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Thanks for checking out everything. Yes, I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow. Fuck it. Let's keep the ball rolling. Maybe not as long. I'm not sure how long that will take for me to get through. But we'll see. I will schedule a live stream tonight if I'm doing one tomorrow, but I'm pretty confident I am. Thank you all for checking this out. Feel free to give it a thumbs up. I think tomorrow we might do horror Blu-ray. Or maybe my video games. I'm not exactly sure. I got to think about it, but I'm like so drained from talking for the last 3 hours. Thank you, Dave. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Feel free to give it a thumbs up. I've got super chats enabled if you guys want to donate to the channel. Any donations go right into the channel. Just like the little bits of money I make from ads, I do try to put that towards the channel and making the channel better. So thank you, everybody, for checking this out. Feel free to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any more live streams. Some of the new people, I'd really appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe and the little notification bell. Ding! And yeah, I'll see all you guys very soon. Tomorrow. Stay tuned. Feel free to follow the scheduled live stream so you don't miss it. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much, guys. Peace out. Bored Cyborg is outie.